Hello and welcome to the Golf Course Lawn Show. My name is Ron Henry and I'm here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you will see a chat box. And in that chat box, you enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not. But either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. Well, guys, by my calendar, we are 21 days out from the start of spring, and the weather's starting to feel like it, right? It's pretty awesome. So it's been getting warmer here in Georgia. Grass starting to green up. Overall, feeling very good with how things are progressing. As far as some housekeeping, we are coming to you guys live on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Meta. So you can consume the show however you like. YouTube is one of our primary platforms. We're also expanding into Twitter. So for the few of you that are also watch us on Twitter, feel free to participate and follow us there as well. Guys, so tonight, as far as talking points, obviously we want to take your questions, hear what you guys are working on, hear any challenges and things that are going on for this season. And as I've been doing in previous live streams, want to also just repeat and reemphasize things you can be doing now that we're at the end of February. I think March starts tomorrow, to get your lawn ready for the absolute best lawn that you can have this season. So we're going to talk about some steps, some things you can be doing for the month of March to get yourself all set up for an amazing lawn this year. All right, let's see what we have in the show this evening. We got Mr. Robert Rainey stepping in. That guy has entered the chat saying good evening. What's going on, Robert? Hopefully you're doing well, sir. Hopefully you're getting some green in your lawn. Jacob Q's up next. He says, hey, Ron, fingers crossed for an early green up. Man, fingers crossed, man. I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen, guys. I'm already seeing some more green come in the lawn. We had a little cold snap there for a while, but the lawn is recovering. You know, all the warm temperatures we've been having here the last week, 10 days or so, has definitely, the grass likes it. Bermuda likes it. It's doing better. All right, next up is Higgy Pops. Here's a question. He says, hey, Ron, Happy Friday. Last week you covered the Supersod level mix. What is in the top dressing mix at Supersod and how thick should it be applied? Great question, Higgy. So in their level mix, there are two major components. So there is a USGA sand, so a screened sand that's about 70% of the level mix, and then 30% is their soil cubed compost. So there's three components to that that make up that compost, but it's pretty much 70% sand, 30% compost. And again, it's great product. Again, it's it is the best top dressing product that I've used on my lawn personally. As far as how thick it should be applied, anywhere between 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch on the high end is where I would want to be. You know, a good way of calculating how much material that is if you get 1 cubic yard per 1,000 square feet, you're going to be pretty good, especially if it's your first time top dressing. Now, if you've top dressed your lawn a few times, you can back that down. Like one big yellow bag, which is a cubic yard, will go a bit further. But if it's your first time and you want to, you're trying to get the lawn in its best shape, 1 cubic yard per 1,000 square feet is going to be a good ratio as far as how much material to get. So great question, sir. Hopefully that is useful to you. Really, really do like that product. Again, I've shown this on the live stream several times before, but I'll show it one more time as to why I'm such a huge fan of it, right? So one of the big challenges you can have when it comes to selecting a leveling mix is you'll get the sand, but the compost component of it, or also the sand component of it as well too, can have a lot of debris in it. So you'll get leveling mixes that will have peanut shells, that will have, a lot of times will have stones, will have bark, all kinds of debris, all kinds of trash, pretty much stuff that you do not want in your lawn. The thing that I've come across with the Supersod level mix, and I've used it several times over multiple seasons, is that it's consistently debris free. So I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about. So the last time I did a major top dressing job of the back lawn, I had 6 or 7 bags, 6 or 7 yards of material that went over around 9,000 square feet. Normally, if you were to put that much material out, you're going to spend quite a bit of time getting rocks, peanut shells, bark, just all kinds of garbage out of the lawn before you start real mowing it again. So I want to show you guys what came out of their level mix. So again, this is 7 yards or so of material. So those are stones. For reference, you can see the pebbles there, and you can see a dime next to them. So they screen this stuff really well. Out of 7 yards of material, that's the only trash that came out of the lawn. So if you need something to kind of let you know how good a job they do screening this stuff, that's a video that I did like years ago, and I use it as an example to show you like how clean it is. Nothing else that I've ever used, and I've used top dressing from quite a few places around here, have approached that. You do pay more for it, but it's, if it saves you all this time and headache of getting a lot of trash out of the lawn, I personally think that it is worth it. So, and if you want to also get yourself some of the level mix, I think there's a discount code they've given me to share with you guys. It doesn't cost you guys any extra. So from what I understand, I think the discount code applies currently to their compost and also something they call their veggie mix. I don't know that it applies to the top dressing material from a standpoint of $30 off, but it will take $5 off. So you may want to wait and see if later in the season they offer any kind of a sale that also includes a leveling mix. But with this code, you're still going to save $5 off of any incentive that they happen to be running. So I'll share that with you guys in case any of you guys are looking to get some, save you some money. It's a way to support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. So here you go, Higgy. You can check that out. ron-henry.com/top dressing is the code, and it's there in the chat now. But yeah, man, if you're thinking about it, I really would lean towards that. It's a really good material. It's really good stuff. All right, next up we have Noek 95. He says, "Good evening, Ron. Just got done burning the yard for the season. Man, you are savage, man. You're something else. I've seen it done. A buddy of mine, Lee, did his lawn. He burnt his lawn, and it worked out okay. But every year, you're going to see some situation where someone burns their lawn and it gets out of hand, and a house burns down or half a house burns down. So just be careful. I mean, make sure you have some friends, have a garden hose ready. Make sure you think off the perimeter. It's not something that I recommend that people do because there's just so much, so much risk if something goes wrong. But sounds like you did it. You pulled it off and all is well, right? It is definitely less work than scalping your lawn. I'll give you that, as long as it goes well, right? That's the thing with things in life. Sometimes not everything goes to plan. So if it all goes to plan, then it's great. If it doesn't all go to plan, it's not so good. Makes for a good story, but not great. All right, we got Vahid Navi from the Great White North stopping in to say hello. What's going on, Vahid? He says, hello, everyone. Hopefully you're doing well, sir. Thanks for hopping by to say hi. Jackie Bickley. Jackie, I'm not sure if I've ever seen you on the live stream before, so if you're new, welcome. She says, hello, everyone. What's going on, Jackie? Hopefully you're doing all right. And then Higgy Pop leading the like button charge. We've got 67 people in the live stream so far, only 16 likes, and he's saying, let's all hit that like button. It is free. And definitely do that, guys. If you guys are enjoying the content, want an easy and free way to support the channel, hitting that like button, getting that engagement up is very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. We got Jay Brooks saying hello all. What's going on, Jay Brooks? Thanks for stopping by to say hello. And then another question we have. This one is from Mr. Diamond Shotties. This man is ready to get going this season. His question is around growth regulator. He says, is it too early for PGR in Georgia? In my opinion, Diamond Shotties, yes. I mean, maybe if you're in maybe South Georgia, South Georgia, like maybe near the Gulf or near Florida, if you're already, your grass is already greened up, you're already mowing it regularly, and you want to start using growth regulator, sure. But for most of Georgia, it's a bit too soon. The thing you want is you want the lawn to be largely out of dormancy, greened up, you're mowing it regularly, and then you can introduce PGR. On my lawn, what I found, again, I'm in Northeast Georgia, I'm about an hour or so from South Carolina border. The earliest I'm able to get growth regulator out, and it really depends on how the temperature is going that year, is mid-April. So that's why for most folks, I say, if you wait till May, the first week of May, you're going to be pretty good to get going then. But as early as mid-April is when I've done it here in Georgia. So unless you're way south, I'd say it's probably too soon. So I would wait. I'd give it another 6 weeks, Diamond Shotties, and then revisit it. So just, fear not, man. I mean, you just got plenty of time. I know you want to, get that primo out. I understand. I get it. I mean, it's great stuff, but it's patience. A bit early for that, in my opinion. Next up, we got Noic95. He says, can you give me some application rates for Celsius and tenacity? Do temps play a role while spraying this? Okay, so before we even get into rates, as far as rates, you can check the labels and they will provide guidance as far as application rates. I can show you what's on the bottle. I can also tell you some rates that I've used for Celsius that I find work really well. But there's a deeper question here. You were saying Celsius and tenacity. These two things really should not come together, Noek. Remember, tenacity is primarily for cool season grass. You can use it on centipede to control crabgrass, I guess, if you wanted to. But really, it's not designed for use on warm season lawns. So I'm trying to think of a situation where I would spray Celsius and tenacity. I guess if you're on a centipede lawn, or if you had like a St. Augustine sod farm, in which case then I guess you could do tenacity and Celsius, but neither of those probably apply to you. So long and short is this: if you have warm season turf grass, so Bermuda, zoysia, St. Augustine, centipede, go with Celsius. Go with certainty, like Celsius for your broadleaf weeds, certainty for your sedges and grassy weeds. Then that's going to be a good fit. Tenacity really should not be in your, shouldn't be even on the shelf if you have a warm season lawn. Just not something you really need to be using. Again, centipede, there's some arguments where it could be used for spot spraying, perhaps crabgrass in a centipede lawn, but I mean, really, you could also just use Celsius for that. You may have to do more than one app, but Celsius, in my opinion, is, even in that case, is a better choice. Again, check the label and see what guidance they have for tenacity. I mean, on the measuring bottle, you'll see right there, it gives you 1 teaspoon of tenacity in 2 gallons of water. But again, obviously check the label. Depending on what weed you're trying to control, there may be some variations in that rate. When it comes to Celsius, there's a couple different ways of doing it, right? Celsius has like the rate card has a fairly broad range. If you're spraying Celsius at the high rate, you can do 0.226 ounces of Celsius over 2,000 square feet. So on the measuring cup, which you're not going to be able to see, well, maybe you can, but on the measuring cup, there are markings. This will focus. Yeah, there are markings. And on the left side, the left column going up, the one you're going to see there is 0.226. That is the amount of Celsius that you would use over 2,000 square feet at the high rate or over 4,000 square feet at the lower rate. That also happens, believe it or not, corresponds to what one of these are. So one of these packets are 0.226 ounces. So one of the individual use packets, you could use one of these in 2 gallons of water. That'll cover 2,000 square feet at the high rate. So if you look at the label for Celsius, depending on the weed you're trying to control, the weeds are broken up into sections based on the rate that they recommend you use for that particular weed. And if the weed you're trying to control requires a high rate, then you could go with one of these in 2 gallons of water, and that will cover 2,000 square feet. So the best answer is it depends on what you're trying to control, and the label is going to have that info. But to kind of round this all back, put a nice bow on it, I would really try and discourage you from using tenacity on warm season turfgrass. It's really a cool season herbicide. So hope that helps, Noah. Appreciate you asking the question. But let's again, just keep the tenacity at bay. Keep it away from your Bermuda, your zoysia, from your warm season lawns. All right, next up we have Rich70. He says, cheers, gang. What's going on, Rich? Thanks so much for coming to stop by and say hello. And then next up is Sovereign Design. Says, good evening. Snow is melting here in Detroit. Wow. So here we go. We're complaining about little cold snaps here and there, and you're still dealing with snow on the ground. So it's always relative, right? Right, Sovereign Designs. We have one more question. Kyle McLeod, I'll take this one really quick, and then we'll jump into some of the talking points. So Kyle says, is Spectacle G a bad pre-emergent for St. Augustine? I don't believe so, Kyle. So Spectacle Flow can be used on St. Augustine. The rates for St. Augustine, don't quote me on this, check the label, but I want to say it's something like 6 ounces per acre is what the label calls for St. Augustine. Whereas for Bermuda and zoysia, you can go up to, I want to say it's 10 ounces per acre. It's quite a bit higher. So check the label. I would imagine that because Spectacle G likely has the same active ingredient in it, it does have the same active ingredient as what's in the liquid product, that you could use it on St. Augustine. So yes, it's not a bad idea. Spectacle isn't my favorite pre-emergent to use in the springtime. There's people that do it. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But if you're a little bit heavy-handed with the rate, it can slow down how quickly your lawn comes out of dormancy. So for the most part, Spectacle I think is better left as a fall pre-emergent. Another reason why I don't really use it in the spring is I like to rotate pre-emergents throughout the year. So if I save Spectacle as my fall pre-emergent, that allows me to still use prodiamine or dithiopyr, so barricade or dimension, as my spring pre-emergent. Again, there are people that use Spectacle year-round. They use it for the spring and the fall. It can absolutely work. If you're going to do that, I would highly recommend that you back the rate down in the springtime. And again, on St. Augustine, I can't see any reason why Spectacle G, which is the granular version of Spectacle, would be a problem. Just check the label. The application rates, if it's anything like the liquids, are probably going to be a little bit lower as far as like how many pounds per thousand you're putting out on a St. Augustine lawn versus, say, Bermuda or zoysia. So hope that helps, Kyle. Great question. Hopefully it is useful for you. And again, you can use Spectacle in the spring, but I would try to encourage you to kind of give dithiopyr or prodiamine a go, and just save that Spectacle. Save the good for the fall. Save that good for the fall. All right. Great question. All right, guys. So as we move into the month of March, tomorrow is when March officially starts. Some of the questions I've been getting via email has been, where I'm getting close to, March is about to start, spring's about to be here. What should I be doing to get my lawn in the best form possible? So if you're a little behind the curve, some things that you should have been doing, or that, in my opinion, that should be done already, but you can still got time to do it, is get your soil test done. So one of the big questions we get every day, relatively via email, but commonly in YouTube comments, and in other platforms, is what fertilizer should I be using on my lawn? Like, which fertilizer is the best fit for my soil? And unfortunately, there's not really a good way to answer that question, or any answer you get is not as accurate as it could be unless you have soil test data. Now, the soil test that I like to use, one that we recommend on the Golf Course Lawn Store, is the one from My Soil. We carry these. The big reason why I like these so much is that they are easy to use. They are the report is fairly comprehensive, and then any soil tests that you do are saved in their portal. So say you do a soil test now, and then you do one in the fall, or you do one a year from now, you can compare how your soil was in February 2025 versus how it looked in October, November 2025, or next year. In addition to that, you'll also get recommendations for products that can help address any issues or any deficiencies that the soil test uncovers. So for that reason, I'm a huge fan of these. All right, so soil testing, I think one of the most valuable, one of the most underused tools in getting a great lawn. So something that if you've not done that as yet this year, I'd highly recommend it. As far as where you can get soil test kits, shameless plug, we carry them here on the Golf Course Lawn Store. All right, so we've covered like the first step one in figuring out your nutrient program, meaning what's missing in my soil, what are the deficiencies, and how can I help improve that. The next thing, probably the other thing that people want outside of green grass, because you guys want it all, you want green grass and you want like no weeds in your lawn. So the easy button for drastically reducing the amount of weeds you're going to have in your lawn is using a specialized herbicide called Pre-emergent. Now, if you guys are new, if you guys have been watching the show for a while, you guys have heard me talk about Pre-emergent. You're probably like, oh Lord, Ron, and Pre-emergent yet again. Yes, it's got to happen. But if you're brand new and you've never heard of Pre-emergent, what it is a special type of herbicide that is designed to prevent weeds from growing in your lawn in the first place. Like kind of the name says, pre-emergent, you're supposed to have it in the soil before or prior to the weeds emerging, before they start growing. When you apply pre-emergent, water it in. When weeds begin to grow, the chemical that's in it will, as far as a short answer, it suppresses the ability of the seed to grow roots. And then with no roots, it can't get water, can't get nutrients, and it dies. So before you even see it making a mess in your lawn, the weed is terminated, right? So pre-emergent is one of the best things you can do, one of the best decisions you can make as far as keeping your lawn weed free. From a cost standpoint, they also tend to be a lot less expensive than what are called post-emergent herbicides, meaning you see weeds already in your lawn, you got some spurge, you got some crabgrass, and now I want to get that out of my lawn. Typically, the herbicides you have to use to get rid of existing weeds and not damage your grass in the process tend to be quite a bit more expensive than the products you can use to simply prevent it. So an example of pre-emergent, let's go for a ride. If you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to Shop, and then Weed Killer. Under here, if this loads, you'll see a filter for pre-emergent. So you hit this guy right here, and it will show you various options. Now, all of these can be used on any type of grass with the exception of spectacle flow. Spectacle flow is for warm season turf grass only. So only for Bermuda, zoysia, St. Augustine lawns, centipede lawns. It's for warm season grass. So you would not use this guy on a fescue, ryegrass, or Kentucky bluegrass lawn. So prodiamine or dimension, either one of these, as you can see from a cost standpoint, they're quite a bit less expensive than spectacle. Any of these would be an excellent choice for keeping weeds out of your lawn, for preventing weeds from being a problem in your lawn. As far as timing goes, right? The question you're going to say, well, it's almost supposed to be March. Am I late? Is there any hope for me? Well, the long short of it is you really want to apply pre-emergent in the spring or to control spring and summer weeds before the average 5-day soil temperatures are in the mid 50s. So you can get on Google and say my zip code, average soil day temperature, 5-day soil temperature, and more than likely what's going to load up is a website by Syngenta, like the Greencast tool they make that tracks soil temperatures throughout the country. But let's say you happen to live in, I don't know, say Florida somewhere, right? Or South Georgia, or you're Louisiana, somewhere along the Gulf, right? You're in Houston, you're somewhere south, and soil temperatures have been over 50s for a while, right? Then maybe in the 60s already. The question is, well, the soil temperatures are already warmer than the ideal time to apply. Should I still do it? And the answer still is yes. Now, will you get as good prevention or as good control applying it when soil temps are warmer? No. But is it going to be better than if you didn't do anything at all? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, for this time of year is a great time to get your pre-emergent out. Mine was applied about a month ago at this point. But if you're still not too late to get that done. And as far as, a decision you can make that's going to do a lot for keeping weeds out of your lawn, pre-emergent is it's a great decision, something you really should be doing. So for any of you guys that have not yet gotten it, anyone that's new to the live stream and is saying, hey, I want to keep my weeds out of my lawn, this is, I'll send you a link to the Golf Course Lawn Store where you can look at some of our options, and the granular or the liquid, either one of them will work. Just as long as you apply them at the right rates and water it in, you're good to go. Let's keep weeds away. So there you go. So both you guys will have that option as well. All right. So the next thing, and this really only applies to warm season grass. So if you guys are got a cool season lawn, this is a time for you to go take a break. You can go grab refill your beverage or go do what you want to do for the next like minute or so. So if you have a warm season lawn, particularly Bermuda grass and zoysia grass, and you're okay with a little bit of pain and hard work, scalping is a practice you can do that I think has a lot of value for starting out the season. It helps clean out a lot of the old debris that's in the lawn. It allows more heat and sunlight to get down to the soil, which can help your lawn green up faster, which again, just tons of benefits to doing that. So scalping is a process of cutting or setting your mower, I mean, quite a bit lower than the height that you intend to maintain the lawn, and cutting a lot of that material off. In other words, when you're scalping, you are violating, in most cases, the 1/3 rule. It doesn't really matter this time of year because the grass is dormant, it's not actively growing. So, by you cleaning out all that extra debris, all that old material, you're just giving the lawn a fresh start for the springtime. If you have a Bermuda or a zoysia lawn, it's not going to kill it. It's not going to do any kind of permanent damage. And it's just going to give the lawn a fresh start for the season. So if you've got Bermuda or zoysia, scalping is something that's worth considering, in my opinion. It's really worth doing. If you are going to scalp, you're going to want to bag the clippings. You're going to get the clippings and get them out of the lawn. So there's been a few cases where people have scalped their lawns. They just run the mower all over the lawn at the lowest setting, and they just blow all the material right back in the lawn. So you're kind of missing the point. You're kind of working against yourself. The idea is to cut off a lot of the old material and get it out. So if you are scalping your lawn, you're going to want to have a bagger on it if you're using a rotary mower, or if you have a real mower, you're going to have a grass catcher, and then you're just going to, it's going to take you a while to do it, but that's going to be, something I'd really recommend if you have Bermuda or zoysia. All right. So we've gotten done with the soil testing. We've done our pre-emergent to help keep the lawn weed free. If you got Bermuda or zoysia lawn, you're going to scalp to get yourself set for the beginning of the season. Now we can get into fertilization. Now, your soil tests are really going to tell you what the best fertilizer, which is the best fit for your lawn. But let's say you've got your soil test results come back and they say, hey, you know what? You've got adequate levels of phosphorus. You have your choice of a nitrogen and potassium fertilizer. What I'm a fan of is going with a higher potassium fertilizer when the lawn is moving out of winter and into warmer temperatures in spring. It just helps the lawn manage the stress of the climate change. It just helps it just move into the warmer part of the year better. So I'll show you a couple of options for that. If you were to go to our shop and the lawn fertilizer section, the fertilizer that I'm going to be applying probably this weekend is going to be the 12-0-24. Like this guy here is a great example of a high potassium fertilizer, not too much nitrogen. And the nitrogen that's in there, the 12%, is a large percentage of it is a slower release, meaning it's not going to try and push a bunch of growth in the lawn, which is not what you want this time of year. So this is a great fertilizer to start the season out with. And then when we get into talking about April and the rest of the year, which we'll have this conversation about a month from now on the live stream, is when I'll move to Humic Max. So I start with this. I start and I end the season with this particular fertilizer. And in the middle of the season, April through September, I use Humic Max. So a good high potassium fertilizer doesn't necessarily have to be this one, but this is one that I recommend. I've had great results with it. The finer prill that's in this fertilizer is going to help it get into the soil a bit faster. And in my opinion, is going to work a bit better. It's got a bit of humic acid, a little bit of kelp in there. So it's a bit of everything to again help the lawn move into from winter into springtime a lot better. All right. So those are the heavy lifting things you can do. If you want to start getting into biostimulants, you can apply CarbonizPN-G. You can apply the carbon kit. It really depends on just how far you want to go. But if I had to say, like the big three are: get a soil test done. Absolutely do that. Apply a pre-emergent. Very important for keeping weeds at bay. And then apply a higher potassium fertilizer to start the season out. I would have scalping in here, but that doesn't apply to everybody that's watching this. Again, that's really only for Bermuda, zoysia lawns. If you got closes and turf grass, you're not going to be scalping it. But if you do those three things, you start with a higher potassium fertilizer, you get a soil test done, and then you get out some pre-emergent, man, you're going to be in such a better position as far as starting the season out versus not doing those things. So that's a lot of the talking points, what I wanted to cover, because again, questions that we're getting a lot of this time of year, and I figure why not just repeat it at the beginning of the live stream so that you guys can, it's all covered. That way, when someone watches the replay, they can say, hey, in the first 30 minutes, he gives you some tips for what you can do for getting ready for the month of March. Let's get back to the questions that you guys have, because I know you guys didn't want to hear me just jibber jabber about how to get your lawn looking its best. You guys you care about your problems, right? You want to talk about stuff's going on in your lawn. So let's get back to it. All right, Colin is up next. He says, what's up, Ron? Hopefully your Friday has been well. Tuning in for the good turf talk. I appreciate that, Colin. Thanks so much, sir. And then Jackie Bickley says, best fertilizer for zoysia, please. See, look, Jackie, I didn't pay you to ask that question. I didn't put you up to this, but you now know the answer, right? Because the best fertilizer for zoysia depends on what your soil test data says, right? So what your soil test data says. Again, I'm a big fan of using a higher potassium fertilizer to start the season out, but the only way to really answer that question, to be able to give you the best answer that is as accurate as possible, is with the data that you get from a soil test. So I'd encourage you to get one. These are not that expensive. Like literally, you can get one. It'll ship out. I mean, if you order it today, to ship out Monday. It'll be to you in a couple of days. You send the sample in, and within a week, you're going to have like the answer. You're going to have the data to be able to say, this is what I should be doing for feeding my lawn throughout the season. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Get a soil test done. For people that are saying, I don't want to do a soil test, like what fertilizer should I apply? I'm gonna push you towards the 12-0-24. Reason being is I don't like to recommend fertilizers that have phosphorus in them, just as a general rule. Unless your soil results, unless you're doing one or two things, unless you are establishing a new lawn, then a fertilizer with a bit of phosphorus is okay. Or your soil test results say that your soil is deficient, like you don't have any, you need phosphorus to be added. I don't really feel bad about telling you to get a fertilizer with nitrogen and potassium in it, because those are nutrients that tend to need to be replenished far more regularly than phosphorus does. So if you're not going to do a soil test, the 12-0-24 would be a good choice, but I would still encourage you to get one, because then it's not only going to tell you what fertilizer, but it also might tell you some other things like your soil pH and things that you may need to address. So get one. It's like the best $30 or so that you're going to spend in your lawn care program, in my opinion. So I would highly encourage you to do that. Okay, next up is Higgy Pop. He says, I'm seeing some people burning their lawns instead of scalping. Have you burned your lawn? Every year this question comes up. I have not burned my lawn, Higgy, mainly because it's against the rules in our HOA. This is what they told me. I went over and I asked them one time. I guess one of these things is asking the HOA people was probably my first mistake, right? But you go over and ask them, they say, yeah, no, he's definitely in the covenant. You can't set the lawn on fire. Even if I could, given the size of my lawn and that it literally borders 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other lawns, it's just a lot of risk, right? Like I have to have a really long hose to go out and do it, and it's just to me it's just not worth the risk of potentially it getting out of hand. Here's a challenge too, Higgy, is that my lawn is, no surprise, outside of perhaps Alex's lawn and my lawn are the shorter ones. Everyone else's lawn that's around us, you're talking like 2-3 inch Bermuda. So if any embers, any embers jump over on that, it's got plenty of fuel to take off and start burning. So I'd rather not, get into it with my neighbors by accidentally setting their lawns on fire. So that's why I don't do that. I know people that have done it. I've seen it done. Can it be a time saver? I guess, but it's just not something that I recommend, because there's so much that can go wrong if it doesn't go well. So that's why I'm not something I've ever done, and not something that I really recommend for people to do, especially if you live like in a subdivision. If you have your own property out in the middle of nowhere and you're fairly confident you're not going to burn your house down, you want to do it, then so be it. But I mean, in general, I just recommend against it. Okay, next up we have Eliezer Aguilar. He says, hey, how to kill Bermuda grass in a fescue lawn? A great question, Eliezer. So it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a one and done thing. There are a couple of herbicides that are safe for cool season lawns that will control Bermuda grass after a few applications. One that comes to mind is one called Pylex. Look into that. And then also, I believe a claim is also labeled to control Bermuda grass in cool season lawns. So you have to read the label on them. They're not herbicides that I've used personally, because I don't have a cool season lawn. But look into Pylex and look into a claim. I think I can get you a link to Pylex so you can take a gander at it. But take a look. It's not going to be a one and done. So because it's Bermuda grass. But if you're looking for something that you can, as an option, take a look at this. Again, this is one that I'm aware of, and then also a claim kind of like the company used to make like video games. Same, it's spelled the way it sounds. That is the another one you can look into. So Eliezer, take a look at Pilex. So that there's what I would say. All right. Hopefully that's useful for you, sir. I'm sorry that you got Bermuda grass in your fescue lawn. You're trying to get rid of it, but just realize it's not going to be one and done. So one thing I'd say is that the herbicides for doing that type of work or that are effective in that regard tend to be kind of pricey. Like I was looking at Pilex, it's over $300 for a bottle of the stuff. I mean, yes, it's a lot, but one, it's cheaper than resodding. And then I can't stress enough that getting rid of Bermuda grass out of a cool season lawn is highly unlikely to be a one and done type thing, right? You're not gonna use it once and get rid of it. So it's gonna be a couple of rounds. Another option, let me think here. Another option for Bermuda grass and fescue that comes to mind is Fusilade 2. So that's another option for controlling Bermuda grass in a tall fescue lawn. So if you find fescue, I don't believe it's labeled for, but for maybe it is, but it's mainly for fescue, and zoysia is where Fusilade is designed to be used. So I'll show you that one. Look into Pilex, but also look into Fusilade. If you go to shop and then weed killer, and if you got a smaller lawn, we can now carry it in the smaller 4 ounces. But yeah, so controls Bermuda grass and zoysia, tall fescue, and fine fescue lawns. This would be an option that's a lot less expensive than Pilex or Acclaim. So I'll send you a link to these to take a look at as well. Be sure to read the label under the how to use section, which is going to have guidance as far as application rates or any tips for getting rid of Bermuda grass while not injuring your fescue lawn. So I'll shoot you a link to this as well, Eliezer, and hopefully this will get you all squared away, sir. All right. So Fusilade 2 for removing Bermuda in fescue. All right. There you go. All right. So good stuff. Another fun tip with Fusilade 2 is that if you ever are looking to get rid of, if you're trying to kill Bermuda grass in a mulch bed, like most people will say use glyphosate, which can work, but it normally takes a couple of rounds. A few years ago, I did some testing with Fusilade 2 and glyphosate. And as far as a one and done, that's about as close as I've ever come to like a combination that works really well. So you get yourself a small bottle of Fusilade and some glyphosate. I think the stuff I was using was 40%. I think it's 40% glyphosate is the amount of active ingredient in it. That combination, again, it's non-selective. So don't spray that on your lawn. Don't spray it on anything that you care about. Literally, this is going to kill. It's really just for targeting Bermuda grass in areas that you don't have your lawn. But as far as like you'll spray this, and in what you're going to find is like in the first 10 days, like the Bermuda is going to lose its color and begin yellowing up, but then it really begins to accelerate. And by week 3, it's like burnt to a crisp. It's like dead. And it didn't come back the entire season. So if you're looking for an option, a non-selective option for getting rid of Bermuda grass in mulch beds, Fusilade 2 and then Roundup. So if you were going to do that, you could do this and like Quick Pro. I think we've got a Roundup option is here too. You can mix these two. So you can mix Fusilade along with this, and then that's going to make really quick work of Bermuda grass in a mulch bed. Again, only in areas that like this is a non-selective option. You cannot use this on your lawn. It will damage and or kill it. So it's only for like mulch beds in areas where you're trying to get rid of it, for the season. Okay. Hope that helps, Eliezer. Let me know how you get on as far as getting rid of that Bermuda grass in your fescue lawn, sir. True Gator fan is up next. Not a Bulldog fan, but we'll still take his question. He says, hey, happy Friday, Ron. Spot treating with post-emergence tomorrow with Image. Which spray tip should I use, and should I use surfactant? So for Image, memory serves me, Image needs to be watered in. So you're going to want to use a larger droplet spray tip. So something like this, the Flood Jet tip, like this would be an excellent choice. And then you're going to want to water it in after applications. So, and then surfactant, no, I would not use surfactant with Imazicin with Image. I would just apply it, water it in, and then just wait. No surfactant with Image. Great question, True Gator fans. Hopefully that is helpful for you. I guess you're going after, with using Image this time of year, I guess you're going after some Poa annua is what I would imagine. Yeah, keep us posted as far as how that works out for you, sir. All right. Next up, we have, yeah, POA. That's what you said. You're going after POA. All right. Next up, we got Matt Turney. He says, hey, Ron, I sent you an email earlier today about my soil test results. Would love your thoughts. You did send me an email with soil test results, and I did load them up. So let's take a look. All right. So your question, actually, I got your email pulled up right here. Let me read through it really quickly. What your concern was, you're saying, hey, I'm thinking about starting out the year with a 12-0-24 and then moving to humic max, so 16-0-8. I like that. So if you look here, actually, let me get you off the screen so people can see it better, Matt. If we look here, your nitrogen, right, is low, needs some work. Your potassium is also low, and your phosphorus is just fine. So this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about as far as a soil test result where you would not want to apply a fertilizer with phosphorus. The 12-0-24 to start the season out, I think is a great choice. And then your plan to move from this to humic max is also a sound plan. Like if my soil looked like this, if my results came back and they looked like that, that is what I would do. I start out with the 12-0-24 and then move to the 16-0-8. So the additional amount of nitrogen, the additional 4% nitrogen that's in the 16-0-8 in humic max is going to be fine when you start using that, say in April for your feeding, and that's going to help bring those nitrogen levels up as the season progresses. But starting out, again, I'm just really a big fan of a higher potassium fertilizer to start the season. So yeah, so Matt, yeah, what the rates you asked about 4 pounds per thousand for the 12-0-24 sounds spot on, and then for humic max, 3 pounds per thousand is what I tell most people to do. That assumes that you're going to be doing spoon feeding, right? And by spoon feeding, I mean you're using a combination of liquid fertilizer and granular fertilizer to fill the entire nutrient demands of your lawn over the course of a month. So if you're spraying or you're applying humic max at 3 pounds per thousand, that's going to give you around half a pound of nitrogen. And then you're going to spray liquid fertilizer of your choice. Release 901C is a good choice. Our 22-3 fertilizer is also a good choice. Those at lower rates, and that's going to give you another couple of tenths, 2 tenths or so of nitrogen, and that's going to get you to 7 to 8 tenths of nitrogen for the month, which is plenty for most lawns. And you're not going to have too much growth. The color is going to be consistent. Overall, is going to be really good. So I like it. I like what you like. Your email was spot on, and again, what you're planning to do based on your soil test results, I also like. So good stuff, sir. Take pictures. Keep us posted as far as how the lawn develops. Thank you for sending the soil test results and for reaching out. All right, and next up is Keith Martin. He says, I've used Certainty and I love it, but all they had today was a Negate. How does it compare? I use Surfactant. I live in Alabama. Negate's a good product, Keith. The challenge, the problem with Negate, and the reason why I don't really talk about it as much is like per the label, you're supposed to mix all of it at once. Like if you're going to dole out Negate and use it for, say, spot spraying or whatever, or spraying anything that's under an acre, because that bottle of Negate is designed to be used over an acre or 43,500 square feet of grass, right? So if your lawn is smaller than that, what you would do is you're going to take that that bottle of Negate, you would put it in a gallon of water, you'd empty the entire contents into it, and that creates like a concentrate, like an intermediate mix. And then you can take from that intermediate mix, you can then measure it out to get the right amount of product you're using for 1,000 square feet. The problem with doing it that way is that that intermediate mix really only is supposed to be kept around for like 6 weeks. So unless you're spraying a larger property and you're mixing the product per the label, it's kind of a waste for most people. Now, there are people that will go out and just get like a spoon and they say, it's close enough. They'll get like a little teaspoon and take some out and mix it and just go to town that way. But because there's two different if memory serves me, there's two different active ingredients in Negate. And to ensure that you're mixing it properly, that's why the label calls for you to use, like when you open the bottle and use it, you're supposed to use the entire thing. So is it good against POA? Yeah, it's good against POA annua. I would use personally Certainty, and that's why I recommend it, because you can use Certainty in smaller amounts, whereas Negate is designed to be used really all in the entire bottle is supposed to be used whenever you are mixing or making that intermediate mix. Again, there's people that that do it differently. If you get on forums, there's tons of different ways that people tell you to go about doing it. That does not do that. I'm not going to tell you to do that. So that's why, again, I really don't talk about it. So if you want to go out and do some research, I'm sure you can find a forum post somewhere or a group somewhere that will tell you how to do that. But if for me, I would just use certainty. Another good reason for why I would use certainty for controlling POA annua is that certainty doesn't just only do POA. Like it's really good for sedges. Like we talk about certainty a lot this time of year for POA annua control, but really where it really shines is for sedge control. Like it is absolutely devastating against sedges. So for me, certainty is worth. It's a bit more expensive than Negate, but it's worth getting because you can use it per the label in smaller amounts. It covers a broader range of weeds. There's not really any labeled temperature restrictions for it. So overall, it's just, in my opinion, just a better product. The only negative to it is that it costs a bit more, but given that it's, in my opinion, a better fit for the problem that you're trying to solve is why you really see me recommending it. So if you want to do some digging and you want to look some more into Negate, you can. It is a good product. It's just that for residential lawns, unless you got a really big property, it's not one that I typically recommend. All right. So hope that helps, sir. If you need anything else, let me know. But yeah, I wish you luck on getting rid of, I'm guessing POA annua in your lawn this time of year. All right, next up, we got Jeff Hiroji in the live stream. He says, hey, Ron, what's the best way to figure out how much water is 1 inch of water per week for the lawn? Great question. So you can measure it. So the best way is just to measure it. Some people will say, you run your irrigation system for this amount of time. And the problem with that is depending on the nozzle that's in your irrigation head, depending on the water pressure in your area, depending on how many irrigation heads you have on a given zone, all those factors will drastically change how much water is put out on a given section of the lawn in a given period of time. So the best way, or the most accurate way, is to just do the tuna can test. So get yourself a set of tuna cans, lay them out in say the zone you're trying to measure, and then run it. And then whenever the cans, because tuna cans are about 1 inch or so, when they fill up, then however long you ran that for is 1 inch. If you get like halfway, which is really what I'd recommend, then you're at 1/2 inch. And then for that particular zone, how long you have to run it to put out that much, that 1/2 inch or 1 inch of water. So the only real way to know for sure is to calibrate it and you do that on your particular lawn with your irrigation system in that particular zone. If you're going to do this, what I would try and push you towards doing is, instead of seeing how long it takes your system to put out 1 inch, like measure out like 1/2 inch, measure out 1/2 inch or so, because really, not saying all lawns can't do it, but most lawns, as far as irrigation goes, you'd be better off running your irrigation like running your irrigation, like say 2 heavy cycles, 4 days or so apart, than just one really heavy cycle with 1 inch of water in a week. Because most lawns, unless you got like a lawn that's very flat that can hold 1 inch of water in one go, most people tend to waste quite a bit of water from when they try and do that from runoff. So a good example, like my front lawn, there's no way I can put out 1 inch of water in one time. Like I really can't do much more than 1/10 to 1/4 inch of water in one go. 1/4 inch is really getting it if I'm lucky. So even when I run the irrigation system for run a cycle, my front lawn gets the cycle run twice. It runs 10 minutes, and then the rest of the lawn runs, and it comes back and runs the front lawn again for another 10 minutes. Because of the slope, that's all the water I really could put on it in one go without just wasting a bunch of water and runoff. So while knowing how long it takes your particular irrigation system to put out 1 inch of water is one thing, also looking at your lawn and saying, depending on the type of soil you have, like say a clay soil. Clay absorbs water quite a bit slower than say like a sandy soil. So you look at all those factors and say, even if I could put out 1 inch at one time, will my lawn take this? I'm already just wasting a lot of water. So hope that helps, Jeff. Get you some tuna cans, and I would say measure about halfway off. So figure out how long it takes you to put out 1/2 inch of water and go that route. So hopefully it's useful for you. I wish I could just tell you run it for 25 minutes or run it for 30 minutes and that's it. But unfortunately, the answer is more complicated than that, for the reasons I hopefully I did a decent job explaining. All right. So if you need anything else, definitely let me know. But yeah, get yourself some cans. Go out and do your calibration, and maybe next week report back to us as far as how long it takes your particular system to put out a half an inch of water or so. All right. All right. Next up, we have Higgy Pop. Higgy Pop has a question. He says, I am using a humus compost this year to help the soil. Do I apply it the same way as level mix? Yeah. I mean, I would not smother the lawn. A quarter of an inch towards more a half an inch on the high end would be as heavy as I would go. So in your case, Higgy, you're not really doing this to level the lawn. You're just doing it more from a standpoint of putting organic material into the soil, which is completely fine. I've done that on my front lawn before, so that's completely a good approach to do if that's what you want to do. But the same thing is you want to ensure that you put out enough material that you're gonna get the benefits, but not so much that you're gonna be smothering the grass, that you're gonna be causing unnecessary stress to where it's gonna take longer to recover. So a quarter of an inch, half an inch on the high end, in my opinion, is a good area to be in as far as how much compost or you're gonna be putting on the lawn. Okay, it's a good question, sir. I like that. I like what you're thinking. You guys are already out there. I had someone reaching out to me already saying, hey man, can I top dress my lawn already? I'm like, well, I mean, I wouldn't this time of year. It's a bit early. However, like one of the neighbors down the street, he got his, I think it looked, it's hard to say. I believe he just did compost. I'm not sure if it was level mix or not, but it looked like it was just compost. And he did two of the super sod bags on his lawn. And right now it's all covered in it. And we're just gonna have to wait and see. It's, in my opinion, a bit early. But the thing he has going for him is his lawn is relatively flat. So even if he gets heavy rainfall, as far as it making a mess and moving around, less likely to happen. But in general, I'd say wait till a little later in the season. It's a bit early for that. All right. All right, next up is Bill Stewart. He says, evening all, our time approaches. I know, right? It's about time to dominate. Get it done, all right? 20 days or so out until the official start of springtime. And it's starting to feel like it. And Jackie says, I am new. Well, cool. Well, welcome. It's always cool to see new people taking on the challenge of working on their lawn. And it's fun. And Jackie, let me give you a small piece of advice, all right? Even on my live stream, if you watch other YouTube content, you'll have a lot of stuff thrown at you, and it can seem a bit overwhelming at time, okay? So just take it slow. The big things are, again, this time of year, soil test, pre-emergent, a good fertilizer to start the season out, mow your grass, and then just absorb it as you can. Just take it as you can. You don't have to learn all this stuff all in one go. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy the process of getting better, of taking care of your lawn yourself, all right? Everybody starts from somewhere, and just have fun with it. It's grass. I would say it's pretty tough to do anything that's going to be permanently is going to ruin your lawn forever. It's pretty tough to do that. So just enjoy the process. Whenever you're applying products, read the label twice. I would say measure twice, cut once. It's the same thing when whenever you're putting products out, read the label, make sure you understand it. If you don't understand the application rates, ask someone. Get a second opinion, because once you put it out, you can't really take it back. So, but most importantly, just have fun with it. That's what I would tell you. Enjoy it. All right. Let's see here. Mr. Hayes says, hey, Ron, I was wondering, do you have a cool season lawn care guide? My turf is tall fescue. All right. Yeah. So this guide, I'll show you here. If we go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, if you go to resources and then lawn care schedule, and you scroll down to monthly application schedule. So this guide, this 365 guide that covers spring, summer, fall, and the little bit of winter lawn care that you might have to do, has a guide, a month-by-month breakdown for both warm and cool season lawns. The thing in this that you would not do on a cool season lawn is scalping, which is why you see it here listed as optional. Even for warm season turf grass, it's really optional. But everything else you see here, like this schedule that you see here, is used by folks all over the country, folks like from Washington State to people in Arizona and Florida. So this is it is largely turf grass agnostic. That's why you don't really see me making mention of herbicides in here outside of pre-emergent, because the pre-emergent that I discussed, like prodiamine, you can use on warm season grass or turf or cool season grass. The rates or the products as far as like your grub control, your biostimulants, liquid fertilizers, granular fertilizers, like all of this applies to both warm and cool season lawns. Now, depending on where you are in the country, you may shift this, 3, 4 weeks. You may shift it a little bit later as far as what you're doing in March. You may do in April, depending on where you're in the country. But this will work for both warm and cool season lawns. People, again, for years, folks have been using this with really good results. So if you're looking for something, Mr. Hayes, I will give you this. You can take a look. Also in our academy, in the Golf Course Lawn Academy, we have folks with both warm season grass and cool season grass, and they get great results using the calendar that we put out that covers both of them. Really, the big thing you have to watch out for when it comes to warm season lawns, the biggest thing that will get you in trouble is on herbicide use, right? So when it comes to that, there are herbicides that are only designed to be used on cool season lawns, and there are herbicides that are only designed to be used on warm season lawns. Outside of that, fertilization is something you also want to consider as well. Like, whereas with a warm season lawn like Bermuda and Zoysia, really you can start feeding like next month, like starting in March and really go until October-ish or so. When it comes to cool season lawns, you will typically feed in the spring. You'll taper off, or you'll limit how much fertilizer or how much growth you try and push rather in the summer, and then you can ramp up feeding the lawn again in the fall. Which is why if you look at our tool that we use for building out a program, like our lawn care fertilization calculator, one of the questions it asks is whether you have a cool season or warm season lawn, because depending on when you are using this tool and the time of year, the recommendations will change. Like if you're using this in the summer and you select cool season lawn, it's going to recommend the 12-0-24, because the nitrogen that's in that fertilizer is going to be a slower release nitrogen versus, say, something like Humic Max, which is a bit faster release nitrogen. So the schedule and also this will get you going. But I mean, that as far as the biggest things, herbicides are going to be different, and then as far as feeding, you're going to slow down or taper off as far as how much feeding you do in the summertime with cool season turf grass versus warm season. So outside of that, the schedule applies to you. So I think I've already linked it there in the chat. Take a look at it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and I will do my best to help you out. All right. All right, cool. Next up is Calvin Dang. He says, spike aerators, any good? Yeah. I mean, they can, the term that the people will say that spike aerators are better for is if you have like a compacted soil, like they can like shatter or help break, create the soil to kind of break up at the surface. They are not as good, in my opinion, as core aeration, because with a core aerator, you're removing physical plugs. You are making it much easier for air, water, and nutrients to get into the soil. So of the two, given the choice, core aeration, in my opinion, is superior. But there's still benefits to spike aeration. Let's say let's say, if you, in a perfect world, you would aerate your lawn, you would core aerate your lawn a couple times in the season, once at a minimum, but a couple times in the season. And say every time before you went out and put out, say, fertilizer, assuming you had the time to do this and you had like a spike aeration tool, you could go out and spike aerate the lawn. That's going to help the fertilizer to get in the soil a bit better. So they both have their merits, given the choice. Again, core aeration is more is where I lean more towards. Spike aeration has another benefit too. I'd say a big one is that it's a bit less disruptive, right? So if you go out and you core aerate a lawn, you can tell you core aerated it. It's more stressful to the grass to do core aeration than spike aeration. So again, if you're just looking as a way to help improve water movement into the soil or nutrient into the soil, spike aeration in between core aeration can be an easy way to go. So if that's all you got, it's better than not doing anything. But given the choice, I would lean more towards core aeration. As an example, Calvin, like my mower, my Allet, like they don't make a core aerator module or a cartridge for it, but they make a spike aerator. Like I've got one. They call it it's called a sorrel roller, and it does a great job. Like if I feel like it, like before I'll go put out fertilizer, save at the beginning of a month, I can just run that over the lawn and literally just punches tiny little holes all throughout the lawn. I put the fertilizer down, I put out my CarbonizPN-G, water it in, and it just helps get that, fast track that nutrient into the soil. So there are benefits to spike aeration. It's just not as good for relieving compaction as core aeration. So hope that helps. A great question. If you don't want to do it yourself, hire someone. Hire out a service to come do it, is what I would tell you. Just make sure if they show up, just have them clean their equipment, but you can always hire it out if you don't want to do it yourself, because it is a lot of work. Core aeration is it's not as bad as like leveling your lawn, but it's up there. It's up there as far as a workout goes. All right, DB says, using Talstar P for insecticide, can I use surfactant to increase effectiveness for a blanket spray of 2,000 square feet? You'd have to check the label on that, DB. I've not really heard of folks using surfactant with insecticide. Like I know you don't really do that with acelepryn. Talstar P is not one that I've used. So you'd have to check the label and see what the label recommends. In most cases, when you put out an insecticide, like you're not trying to get it to stick to the leaf of the plant. Like, I mean, I don't know, maybe if you're trying to spray for like Bermuda, like grass mites or something, maybe in that case. But even then, in most cases, when you apply an insecticide, you are applying it and then watering it in. So using a surfactant or any kind of or if the surfactant you're using is like as a spreader sticker, you're kind of working against yourself. So again, I'm just going to refer you to the label, see what guidance they have. I'm inclined to say no, that I would not use surfactant with it. But again, just check the label and see what it says. All right, next up is Emmanuel Jacobs. He says, hey, Ron, I've been noticing some moss growing in my backyard. Is there any herbicide or chemical I can use to get rid of it? Thanks. There are products you can use to reduce moss in your lawn, Emmanuel, but here's what I would tell you to do first. So moss in a lawn is more of a symptom of the environment than something that you go after and just try and treat directly. Because if you don't fix the conditions that are causing the moss to be a problem in the first place, it's just going to come back. So in a lot of cases, if you have an area of the lawn that's it's shaded, an area of the lawn where whenever it rains or you run your irrigation, water settles, so like part of the lawn doesn't drain very well. Or also if that area of the lawn is, the soil is acidic. So if you do your soil test and the soil results come back with the pH being acidic, all those conditions, shade, poor drainage, acidic soil, those conditions are like perfect for moss. It's also because they're also bad for turf grass. Like grass doesn't like those things, right? So while you can use, like there's a product that Scott's makes, it's Moss X, I think is what it's called. Like you can use that. You can find it on Amazon. Or probably big box stores, you can get it there too. But what I would tell you is before you go use something like that, I would look at the conditions of where the moss is a problem, and see if you can do some things to correct that, to make it towards less desirable for moss to even grow there. And then if you go after it with a curative product, then you're really going to get the benefits of it versus always chasing your tail. Another thing to consider too is for some people, moss is more of a problem for this time of year. But as you get into like the hotter times of the year, or when the days are a bit longer, the issue goes away. So if you have a problem in, say, I don't know, January, February, where you have moss in some areas because maybe like the days are shorter, it's cooler temperatures, and you have moss then, and when you get into like March and going forward, it's not a problem anymore. Then it might be, again, and the conditions are not something you can correct. It might be something you just live with. You know what I mean? But if it's something where it's a chronic problem, where if we look at that part of the lawn and in April, May, it's still a problem, I would look at, like, again, the things to check: drainage, shade, and then soil pH. Like, look at those three things. If you correct those three things, typically you can make it to where moss, it's not ideal conditions for moss to be in your lawn. So hope that helps. Again, the product you can look into is a product called Moss X. I'll get a link for you here. But you can find it on Amazon, or any of the big box stores will probably also carry it as well too. So let's see here. Yeah, hose end sprayer version. Why not, right? Why not? Get the easy one. So here you go, Emmanuel. But hopefully that makes sense to you. You know what I mean? And that guidance, as far as looking at the conditions, doesn't only apply to moss. Like, say if you have like a Bermuda lawn, right? Or you have a part of your lawn where it's thin, right? The grass isn't doing as well, whether it's Bermuda or something else. Like, look at like the parts of your lawn that are doing really well, and look at the parts of the lawn that are not doing well, and say, what is different about these things? Is there less sunlight? Is there a drainage problem? Is it not getting enough nutrient? Is it just, there's typically a good reason why an area of the lawn is struggling. And in most cases, you're going to be better off, not in most cases, pretty much in all cases, you're going to be better off correcting the conditions that are causing it to be a problem versus just trying to throw products or trying to throw a curative approach at it, because you're just kind of, it'll fix it for a while, but it's just going to come back. So why not like really fix it? You know what I mean? So hope that helps, Emmanuel. Keep us posted as far as how you get on. And if you need anything else, let me know. Drew Phillips is up next. This evening, Ron, and all ready for some lawn talk. Going to do some scarifying tomorrow on the front lawn and one cut with the reel, and then drop my pre-emergent. I like it. I like the plan. Drew. Sounds solid. And I'm not sure if you're new before, but if you are new, welcome. I don't remember seeing your name before, so if you're new, howdy. Andre Taylor is up next. He says, hey, evening, Ron. Happy Friday. In Northeast Georgia, and Bermuda is coming out of dormancy. I know. It's a thing of beauty, right? Pretty sweet. How soon to start spoon feeding the lawn? Good question. So I am going to start here this weekend. I'm going to put out my 12024 CarbonizPN-G, and I'm going to go out with 901C, which again, very low rates. It's as far as like a nice gentle way to kind of give the lawn a little bit of food, but not trying to push a bunch of growth. 901C is a great choice. Kind of like what I talked about in my video. Like the thumbnail will say the Blueprint 2.0. One of the talking points is that while you could use like the 22.3, not unless you're like in Florida or Houston or some parts of Arizona where it's hot already and the grass is already growing and you're already regularly mowing it, I really won't want to put that much nitrogen in that this early in the season. You kind of want to ease into it, kind of give the lawn, let it kind of slowly wake up. So a combination of the 12024 release 901C, that's a good combination to gently wake the lawn up. So not too early at all. Big thing is just don't get out there and try and push a bunch of growth early in the season. Feed the lawn, but allow it to just run its natural course as it comes out of dormancy is what I would tell you, Andre. All right, next up is Keith Martin. He says, how long of a shelf life, I think you're asking about T-Nex. How long of a shelf life does T-Nex have? I have a bottle now going on 3 years. That's what I normally hear, Keith. So anywhere between 3 to 5 years, depending on conditions. But 3 years for most products, most herbicides. If you talk to most of the manufacturers, they'll say as long as it's kept cool and dry, 3 years is the minimum of what you can expect. And then it can go further than that if it's cared for properly. So if you still got your bottle of T-Nex Pack Ethyl and you want to keep rolling with it, it's probably okay, assuming you've kept it sealed and you have a lot of moisture hasn't gotten into it. You should be all right. Next up is GMac Mac. He says, hey Ron, I'm new and enjoying the info. I appreciate that, man. I'm glad that you're liking it. I'm glad you're getting some value out of it. Hopefully you'll get some small little nuggets to help, hey, here's the thing. Your lawn doesn't have to be the best lawn. It's just got to look better than the other lawns on the street. That's all we're after, right? You want to be the envy of your street, envy of your neighborhood. And hopefully I'm going to give you some tips that'll help you achieve just that. All right, Ryan N says, hey all, appreciate the content, Ron. You're very welcome, sir. Thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. And then we got Jason, I'm going to butcher this. Jason Yanez, I think so. Jason Yanez. He says, hey, all, huge thank you. Ron did the lawn leveling project over the last 2 weeks. Follow the steps you suggested in the videos you shared on your channel. Backbreaking work done. The fun has begun. Very, very nice, man. Very nice. It is. I'll tell you, lawn leveling, it's one of those things that you start out, you're super excited, but then, man, it quickly turns into one of these "are we there yet" type things, right? I really have I feel no shame for someone that just hires it out, because it is a ton of work, and aeration, yeah, it's the kind of a rite of passage, and lawn leveling too, also kind of a rite of passage. But I don't think that every year you got to do it yourself. Like if you do it one time, you realize, hey, I know what. I got a taste of what I'm dealing with here. If you want to hire it out to a service going forward, nothing wrong with that. But congrats, man. Glad that it's done. We'll clap it up for you. Give you some dap. Keep us posted as far as how it grows through, Jason. Now, one thing I will encourage you to do, and you still got time to do it, is take pictures. So take pictures. Hopefully you took pictures before, but if you didn't, take pictures now as it's all covered in whatever you use to level the lawn with. And then just keep taking pictures throughout the season, because it's it's really easy to forget how far you've come. You know what I mean? You stare at your lawn all the time, so you really don't appreciate it. It's almost like losing weight. You know what I mean? You go in the gym, so you're overweight, you start working out, you get on a strength training program, and you see yourself every day because you're kind of stuck with you and you don't really see a change, but then you keep doing it long enough, consistently enough. You have people randomly that know you come up to you and say, hey man, you've been working out, you've been losing weight. You're like, oh, I mean, I guess I've been in the gym. I guess something changed. And your lawn is kind of the same way. If you stare at it all the time, it's really tough to appreciate sometimes how far you've come, and pictures are a great way to kind of relive that. You know what I mean? So take pictures. All right, next up is Mel Allen. He said, Wagwan Ron, can I apply carbonized PN and fertilizer on the same day? Or should I apply the carbon first, water it in, and then apply the fert? Enough respect as always. I got good news for you, Mel. You can do them both and then water in afterwards. So you can apply CarbonizPN-G, you can apply your granular fertilizer, and then you can run your irrigation afterwards. As a matter of fact, this question was so common in years past that I did a video that's titled, it's a 1-minute video, that says, what order to apply products on your lawn? And I'm gonna share that with you now so you can take a look at it. It's only 1 minute, only 60 seconds of your time, and it answers that very question of what order to do things. But long and short of it is this, right? If you're doing, we can use this to chat about this a little bit. Let me see, what order to apply products. All right, so let's say you're doing what you're gonna do, right? So you're putting out CarbonizPN-G, you're putting out a granular fertilizer of your choosing. Yes, you can apply those and then water them in after application. But let's say we fast forward to May, right? Because by May, we're gonna be in full domination mode. We're gonna be living life, it's gonna be awesome, right? So in May, you might be fully spoon feeding your lawn. You might be also doing growth regulator. If that's the case, what would the sequence look like? How do things change if you're doing some granular products and you're doing some liquid products? Like what should I go about doing that? What I do, and it's worked really well, what I also teach at the Golf Course Lawn Academy and folks follow and they get really good results with, is let's say tomorrow, which is Saturday, you went out and you were gonna put out, let's say it's the beginning of the month, beginning of May, right? You could put out CarbonizPN-G, you could put out your granular fertilizer, and then after that, you could go and spray the lawn with your foliar spray. So your liquid fertilizer, biostimulants, growth regulator. If you're really a boss, you could do all that literally on the same day. You could do your granulars first, put out you spray your liquids afterwards. But then the question you're asking yourself is, when should I water? Because the products that we use for spoon feeding are designed for foliar uptake, meaning that they are absorbed by the leaf of the grass, we don't want to run irrigation right afterwards. So if you were to go out, say tomorrow, being Saturday, and put out your CarbonizPN-G, your fertilizer, and then you sprayed your spoon feeding stack, you would wait until the following day, till Sunday, to run your irrigation to water it all in. Like that's what I do, and it produces great results. It allows you to kind of stack everything, get it all done, and then the following day you run your irrigation and you are good to go. That's what I'd recommend if you're gonna do all of that. But tomorrow it looks like you're just doing CarbonizPN-G and fertilizer, so you can literally apply the CarbonizPN-G, do your fertilizer, water it in, and then go on with your day. All right. Hopefully that helps, sir. I really appreciate the question. And if you need anything else, let me know, man. It's good. It's a good one. It's a good question. But yeah, there's a video on that now everybody has that talks all about what order should I apply products on my lawn, right? It's a challenge, right? There's so many things and you want to make sure you put it in the right sequence. Okay. Next up, let's see where I left off. Next, we've got, I don't want to miss anybody. Heaven help me if I do that, right? You guys would be savages. Okay, next up, we got Jeff Hiroji. He's back. He says, for mosquito control, can the Miramichi Green pest control be used on a Bermuda lawn or just around the household shrubs? I'm in Katy, Texas. Jeff, you're going to like my answer. You can spray it on turf grass. There's no problem at all. So you can spray it around the house, like what you're talking about, shrubs, patio, that types of places, but you can also spray it on your lawn. So let's just say you got family, friends, people you want to try and impress with a mosquito-free lawn. You could go out and spray the entire lawn with the Miramichi Green pest control, and you're good to go. Yeah, you can spray grass and the downspouts and hardscapes along with that product. No issue at all with doing that. All right. You can do that, no worries at all. Great question, man. All right, next up we have, you guys, some good questions tonight, man. I'm gonna have a lot of shorts that I'm gonna be able to make out of this. So you guys, well, you guys are helping a lot of other people that don't watch the live stream, but that watch the shorts, get a lot of great questions answered. So good questions tonight. Let's keep it going. Joe Cox is up next. He says, hello, hope all is well. I emailed you my soil test results a few weeks ago. My current pH is 5.6 and calls for 50 pounds of lime per 1,000 square feet. That's a lot to do all at one go. When can I start applying the lime, and do I need to do an aeration? I don't, man, Joe, you may have to resend that, man. Because if you sent me a soil test result like weeks ago and I didn't answer you, then I what happened is, not probably, I missed it. So I get a lot of emails. So if you don't mind, send it again. What I would tell you is doing 50 pounds of lime all in one go per 1,000 is a lot. I wouldn't do that. I would try and stay closer to, you said you're at 5.6, like 30 pounds, 30, maybe as much as 40, but like 30 pounds of lime per 1,000 is, that's going to produce a nice movement as far as raising your soil pH. And as far as when to do it, you could have done it the day after you got your soil test results back. So there's no need to wait. You can do it if you have the lime already. You can do it tomorrow. Do it tomorrow. Water it in, and then yeah, that's going to be great. Now, if you're going to be aerating your lawn, you're asking, can I aerate? Yeah. I mean, if you're planning to aerate your lawn and you want to get it done, get your lime application done as part of that, that would be great too, because that's going to even further help integrate that lime into like the top part of the soil profile, which is going to help it react faster. It's going to help make that, you're going to see a quicker movement in pH. So yes, I would do that. If you're looking to plan to aerate and you're planning to put out, or you need to put out lime, it is a good thing to put those two together. So yeah, I absolutely would do that. And apologies if you sent the email, I didn't get it, or I didn't see it. So if you want to send it again, I will look at it and get you an answer once the show's over. But it's probably not going to change from what I just said. The only thing you might see differently, again, is what I already said, is I wouldn't do 50 pounds of lime per 1,000 all in one go. That's a lot of lime. That's a lot of lime to put down. All right. So I would back that down a little bit. And if you want to stack it with some soil aeration, also a good thing. Brett Curran is up next. He says, I think here, he says, I have a big problem. I have a Bermuda lawn, main lawn in Columbus, Georgia, and I just overseeded herbicide, wait 2 weeks, scalp, dethatch, overseeded, fertilized, topsoil level, and lawn rolled. Okay. You got a lot going on, man. You were doing a lot. He says, other section is brand new dirt. After sod cutting and all new topsoil with the same seed, fertilizer leveling and rolling. It's been 47 degrees. I'm deploying in a week, so I won't be home. Okay, I got you. So you're going out. First of all, thank you for your service. And you're asked, so I guess you're trying to get all this done before you went out of town, before you went on deployment. I get it. Okay, so to revisit, I guess you killed off the existing lawn and you overseeded. You waited 2 weeks, you scalped, dethatch. Oh, okay, so you killed the existing grass, you waited 2 weeks for the grass to die off. That was what I'm getting from this. You scalped, dethatched, you got all the extra debris, all the trash, the dead trash out. You overseeded, fertilized, topsoil level. So what were you doing? Were you looking to renovate your Bermuda lawn? I'm trying to see what you're trying to, I'm not sure what exactly what you're trying to accomplish. It sounds from what you're saying that you're trying to do a renovation, which I don't know, man. 2 weeks is probably not enough. In other words, if you were going to kill off Bermuda and replace it with a different type of Bermuda, 2 weeks is highly unlikely to be enough time. That's not enough time to kill off the existing lawn, to where if you've put out new Bermuda grass seed, like a different cultivar Bermuda, that you're not going to have some breakthrough of the old stuff. So that's going to be a thing. Your question is, I have a remote control irrigation and cameras to observe, but I've been told the seed will just rot. I do not want to come back home in 3 months to a dirt yard. I'm hoping to have germination. I mean, so the trick is this: you want to keep the soil moist, but not to where it's oversaturated. So the big thing is you don't want the grass seed to dry out. I'm assuming, based on what you're doing, is this is a renovation project, and that I guess you're replacing your Bermuda with another Bermuda. In most cases, what you're looking at is 2 weeks on the good side to more like 3 weeks on is more typical to get germination for Bermuda. Bermuda is a slower growing, slower germinating grass seed. So for 3 weeks, you don't really want the soil to dry out. You don't need to run the irrigation, 10 times in a day, but you want to keep the soil moist, but not to the point to where it's it's a mess where you're causing problems. I don't know. I mean, you might be able to, depending on the kind of cameras you have, you might be able to determine that as far as like moisture levels just from a camera. That might be kind of tough. But yeah, you want to keep it moist, but you don't want to overdo it. So some of what you're seeing as far as guidance or whatever people are telling you as far as um, creating like creating conditions that are going to cause problems for you is a true thing if you overdo it with the water. But I'll tell you this: most people don't have that problem. The reason why most seeding projects fail is due to lack of water. Most people will put out grass seed and they will water for the first day, 2, 3 days, and because they're really excited about it, and then they will begin to slip. You know what I mean? So the big thing is for Bermuda, for 3 weeks, you really can't allow it to dry out. Which is why I would say, given unless you've already done the grass seeds, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. But given the choice, if you'd asked me this question before you went out and put the grass seed out, what I'd have told you is, kill off your existing grass, and if you want to change to something else, then sodding is a better way to go. Like that's like an easy way to go from like no lawn to lawn. You are far more likely to be successful with sodding. Than you are doing it from grass seed. And then your other follow-up to your question is I won't be home for 3 months, and I'm just wondering if the seed will rot or not. What watering schedule would you recommend? Okay, so you don't want to overdo the watering. Again, the best thing I can tell you is that you want to keep the ground and the seed moist, but same time you don't want it to be like a big mud pool, right? And as far as a watering schedule, 3 times per day is what I would lean you towards. So early morning, 5 a.m. ish, 5 a.m., 4 to 5 a.m. And then again, late morning, say around 10 or 11 this time of year. And then again in the afternoon. So at minimum 3, because again, you don't want it to dry out. But the good thing you have going for you is that this time of year, it's not crazy hot yet. So it shouldn't take as much water. How long to run it for, I'm not going to be able to tell you. Like it depends on your irrigation system as far as how much water it puts out. But for a new lawn, I can just only tell you what I did. Whenever I seeded my lawn years ago, it was that. It was like it was 3 times per day for pretty much 3 weeks is what I did. And that worked out fairly well. So that, that should work as well for you. But here's the thing. It would be good if you had somebody that can look at it for you. I don't know how, when you're on deployment, or if you're going to be able to really like make phone calls or talk to folks or anything like that. But it wouldn't be bad if you had like a neighbor or someone that can just look at it and say, hey, yeah, it looks kind of dry, or it looks fine. You need to run irrigation today. Because again, the thing that you're most worried about, the water, is what will make or break your project. Another thing too is that it's, you said your soil temps are 40 to 70. Here's the thing, Bermuda you really want the soil temps to be like mid 60s and higher consistently. So if it's dropping into the 40s, like that's also going to slow down your germination rates. You know what I mean? So if it's still bouncing around that much, you might find that you're more like maybe closer to a month to get it to grow in. And even then it may not all grow in evenly because you're doing it so early in the season. Like for doing a renovation with a Bermuda lawn from seed, if you're going to do that, really May, in my opinion, is like a better time of the year in Georgia to do something like that. So again, sorry I don't have a better answer for you. It was kind of tough to understand exactly what it is that you're trying to pull off. But what I can tell you is this: just every for the first 3 weeks, commit to watering 3 times per day. If you can, before you go on deployment, if you can run that for a couple of days and see how much, like what the moisture levels of the lawn looks like after you've run once 3 times per day schedule, then just kind of roll with that into for the next few weeks. That's what I'd tell you, and just kind of see what happens when you when you get back. It is a bit early, in my opinion, with the soil temps being where they are for a seeding project. So hope that helps. Again, thank you for your service. If there's anything I can do to help you out, let me know. All right, Soju for all is up next. He says, I scalped 3 weeks ago with lots of ball spots, installing a second water meter for irrigation, gutter downspouts to yard drains, and 200 feet of digging. Start while the lawn is ugly, or let it recover. Okay, so your question is, you scalped 3 weeks ago, lots of ball spots. You got to do some like surgery to the lawn, we'll just say, to where you're installing drains and meters. And yeah, I would do it now, man. Do it now. Do it now, because it's going to you can do it later if you want to, but there's no reason to really not do it now, in my opinion. It's going to start warming up here soon, and yeah, I would just get any kind of major thing like that where you're doing like renovation type, like major renovation work, like you're digging up and laying irrigation, plumbing, or whatever you're going to be doing. I would just get it done. I would get it done now if it were me. That's what I did on my lawn, like this now is probably like 4 years ago, when I was trying to correct some drainage problems. Because like you, whenever I got heavy rain, one of the downspouts used to drain right into the back lawn, and another downspout on the front used to drain into the front lawn. And what that caused is that water running down the front lawn would like cut a channel like that. Like you could visually see that there's one area of the lawn where the water drained that was quite a bit lower than the rest of the lawn. So in the off season, actually around this time of year, when I did it several years ago, I got the flex tubing and I just rerouted the water from the downspout to where it dropped onto the driveway, and then from the back lawn, same thing. So it dropped onto the driveway, and I haven't had those problems ever since. So I would do it now if you got the time to go for it. Okay, next up is Jeff. He says, my soil recommended a complete 14-7-14. Should I use that all season long or start with a higher potassium that was mentioned earlier? Great show. Either way can work, Jeff. You could start with 12-0-24 if you wanted to, and then instead of using Humic Max, like a 16-0-8 for your primary feeding fertilizer throughout the season, you could use the complete 14-7-14. So in your case, the 12-0-24 could be the bookends, like the beginning of the season and the end of the season. And then throughout the season, you would use a complete 14-7-14. That would be a good choice. That is what I would do if I were you. So yeah, good question, man. If you need anything else, let me know. And I'm glad that you are enjoying the show. Appreciate you being here. Ruben Texiera is up next. He says, Ron, happy Friday. Spring is nearly here. 20 days, man. 20 days and counting. He says, when do you recommend putting starter fertilizer and weed prevention? I plan to dethatch before I do anything. I installed sod last year. I am up north. Okay. So weed prevention, by that, if you mean pre-emergent, I don't know where exactly up north you are, Ruben. So before the average 5-day soil temperatures in your area are in the mid 50s is when you're going to want to get your pre-emergent out. So you could just Google average 5-day soil temperature and your zip code, and then various websites will load. Probably the one that you guys are going to come up is the one from Syngenta, from the Greencast tool, and it will tell you in your area what the average 5-day is. Whenever the average 5-day is in like the high 40s to low 50s, then that's a great time to get your pre-emergent out. You want to get it out before before the average 5 days is in the mid 50s, in my opinion. And then as far as a starter fertilizer, whenever, I don't know what kind of grass you have, man, but if your grass, when your grass is beginning to wake up, like around here in Georgia, our lawns are dormant throughout most of the winter. Now they're starting to green up. They're starting to, like, we're getting more heat, more daylight. They're starting to come out of dormancy. And they are, so tomorrow, this weekend, I'm gonna be putting out like my starter fertilizer along with like my biostimulants and everything else. With you being up north, if you wanted to push yours out 3 or 4 weeks before you start fertilizing, that would probably be sound. Again, it depends on where in the country you are. I'm not sure if by up north you mean like Virginia, or do you mean like Buffalo? So depending on where you mean, how far you are. But if you want to delay what I'm doing by 3-4 weeks, that would make a lot of sense to me. When it comes to pre-emergent, just a quick Google search is going to tell you when to get that out. And again, when it comes to pre-emergent, it's still better if you have a choice between as far as application goes, timing. You want to be earlier. Like earlier is better than being late. So hopefully that helps, sir. If any questions, let me know. Feel free to ping me if you have any other follow-up, again, because I didn't give you a great answer, because I don't know where you are, but my email is ron@golfcourselawn.com. So if you want to send me a quick email saying, hey, Ron, I am here, or I might be able to look you up, then I'll be able to give you a better idea as far as like when you'll likely want to start feeding your lawn. But you can also just email me really quickly, and I'll give you my thoughts. All right. Okay, next up is Off-Road NV. He says, hey there, Captain Ron. Fridays, 4 p.m. West Coast time is our favorite time. Thank you, sir, for your service. You are very welcome. I'm glad that's a good point. 7 p.m. here in Georgia, but 4 p.m. So, man, you guys on the West Coast, that is crazy. So you guys get off work, or you're watching while you're at work, or you work from home, or whatever happens to be. That's a good point. I guess, yeah, it is like mid to late afternoon for you guys versus here. I appreciate you guys watching though. Lance F says, sent you a picture of my new mower. Here we go. Where's my email? Where is my email? It says 3 seasons of pushing a manual at 0.75 inches on Kentucky bluegrass. This season, it's lights out, game over, can't wait. Already has great stripes on a dormant lawn. I never had stripe action. Bless your heart. So now you feel like you're moving up in the world, Lance. Is that what's going on? Let's see here. New mower game. Ooh, that is nice. You know what? That is nice. But you know what? What I'd like to see about this picture, Lance, we're going to show it here really quickly, is you're still putting some respect on where you came from. You didn't just take your old rotary mower, your old push reel mower, and just put it out to pasture and be like, yeah, I don't need you anymore. Be gone. You still showed it some respect, which I like. Let's see. Can I save this and get this to show up? I think so. Save as, and Lance. We'll say Lance F. new toy. All right. Okay. So this is his new mower. Is that the California? Is that the Catalyst? Okay, cool, man. All right, let's see here. So this is what Lance is working with. Boom. All right, let me zoom in here a little bit. So we see where he came from, and we see where he's got what he's got now. So first of all, we're gonna clap it up for you. Give you some love, some respect on it. Very, very nice. Very nice, sir. It's a nice looking mower. Your mower on the right is also good looking, but as you are finding out yourself, going from a push reel mower to a powered reel mower, it's like night and day, right? Night and day difference. So I am glad that you are now truly experiencing the joys of stripe action, and yeah, man, it's pretty glad. I'm happy for you. Congrats. Mow in good health. Keep us posted as far as how well it does. I've not even seen a Catalyst myself personally. So keep me posted as far as how it works out for you. Okay. Again, congrats on the mower. It's a big upgrade, really big upgrade. Nice work. All right. Next up, we have Mars Bees. Says, good evening, Ron and all. You'll remember I have a new lawn from seed put down last fall, turf trap tall fescue. Do I scarify and aerate? Thanks. If you're going to be gentle with it, sure, right? I mean, if you're going to keep the scarifier set up to where you're not getting anywhere near the soil, you're just using it to kind of clean like any dead grass or old material out, like I'd be okay with that. But I wouldn't want you using it like a I don't know, like a dethatcher. Like you don't want to be too aggressive with it, is what I would tell you. As far as aeration, sure, yeah. If you also want to aerate, that would also be fine too. What you're going to find, Mars Beads, is if you're worried about it, do it whenever the grass is really beginning to grow again. Now I think you're in Tennessee, if I remember. Yeah, you're in Tennessee. So whenever you start mowing the lawn, it's the growth rate is starting to speed up. If then you want to go out and do your light scarification and also core aeration, I'd be good with that because the lawn's going to be in growth mode. So as far as its ability to recover from that stress is going to be better. So that's when I would time it. That's a way to give yourself even a little bit more insurance that you're not going to cause damage to the lawn by waiting until it's you're starting to mow it, it's actively growing, and then when you want to get out there and lightly scarify it and then go out and core aerate, you'll be good to go. So great question. And man, how far we have come. I remember you came from bare dirt to like fertilizer over application, and now your lawn looks awesome, and you come a long way, right? So it's pretty cool. keep us posted. Keep us posted as far as how it does. Next, we have Hailed Demon. Says, got my soil test results, optimal on the macros, but very low on iron and low on other micros. I got you. So you're good on macros, you meant other micros. So good on macros, low on iron and other micros. Bermuda lawn in Texas, what should I add and when should I apply? Great question, Hailed Demon. So if your macros look pretty good, if you're looking for a fertilizer for just regular feeding, what I would do, a good combination would be this. You could do Humic Max 1608. This could be your fertilizer that you use for just regular feeding throughout the growing season. And then with that, you could pair it with our micronutrient, this guy here. So this is going to have it's going to have your iron, your zinc, molybdenum, copper, boron, all of your micronutrients. So this and Humic Max is going to put you in a good spot. And before I get the question, some of you guys are asking, when are the gallon sizes of these going to be back in stock? It's looking like the end of next week. So figure whatever that is. It's the 7th. 7th is when they should be available for order again. Like everything should be available for order. Then we really shouldn't have any problems with running out for the rest of the season. So this week, next Friday is when the gallons will be back. But yeah, this is what I would use if I were you, sir. So Hail Demon, I would use this and Humic Max, that and the 1608. That would be a good program for your lawn. And I will give you links to where you can pick that up. If you go here on the Golf Course Lawn Store, you'll be able to find everything you need. So hope that helps. And if you need anything else, don't hesitate to reach out. Jay Rivera is up next. He says, hey, Ron, should I wait for the daily temps to be around low 50s to do my soil test? Nope. You can do it now if you want. Also, thinking of dethatching after soil testing and then applying pre-emergent for better coverage. Thoughts? Okay, so if by you saying dethatching, you're going to thin the lawn out some. So what most of you guys call dethatching, I would rather relabel as like a gentle verticut. If that's what you're going to be doing, then sure. And then again, the first part of your question, is there a reason to wait to do your soil temperature, soil test? No, you can do it now. There's no reason to wait. You can do it now and you'll be good to go. So if you're going to do some kind of cultural practice, scalping, verticutting, light, keyword, light dethatching before you put out pre-emergent, that's okay. But again, if you're truly using a dethatcher, I would ask you to not be too aggressive with it, because you can actually just do more harm than good. So if you're going to do that, light is the word of the day. Okay. So hope that helps, Jay. And then your follow-up question is, let's see here. Follow-up question is, also, prodiamine is sold out everywhere. Any alternative suggestions, granular or liquid? Prodiamine is, it's sold out in most places, but it's not. I'll tell you one place it is not sold out. If you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store and you go to shop and weed killer and you click on pre-emergent, you will find that we have prodiamine, we have dimension, and we have prodiamine in granular forms. You got your choice. You can have it in liquid, you can have it in granular, you can have dimension if you want. You can have it any way you want. And these are all in stock. Shipping, most of them, let me see, all these would ship tomorrow. Would ship either tomorrow or Monday for some of them. The prodiamine would go out, would likely go out tomorrow, but the rest of these would go out on Monday. So yeah, we've got them in stock if you are looking for prodiamine as your pre-emergent. No need to go for alternatives. You can get what you want. All right, Jay? So I'll hook you up really quickly. Here is where you can find them, right there on the Golf Course Lawn Store. And then you said, yes, POA is the target. Thanks for the info. Okay, cool. I think you asked, were you going to ask earlier about negate? Okay, so yeah, for POA annua, yeah, it's a decent choice. Next up, okay, that's a sidebar you guys are having. So next up is Jared. Jared, you're back, man. He said, hey, that last random snow lasted about 1.5 weeks. I got my pre-emergent down on the 22nd. Okay. So when can I go out and scalp? Would the weekend of the 8th/9th be too early to disturb the barrier? No, because when you're scalping, you shouldn't be getting down into the dirt. So if you're just scalping like how I'd recommend you do it, which is like if you're going to maintain the lawn, it's a 3/4 of an inch, scalp it like 1/2 an inch. In which case, like at 1/2 an inch, you're not getting into the dirt. So you're not going to be disturbing the barrier. So to answer your question, there's no reason to really wait if you're not going to take the mower down and, mow dirt. So if you're not doing that, which I highly recommend that you don't do that, you could do it this weekend if you wanted to. If you want to wait till the weekend of the 8th, 9th, that would be fine too. But even then, keep the mower or whatever you're using to scalp, keep it out of the dirt. Like don't be too aggressive is what I would tell you, Jared. Because as long as you do that, you don't have to worry about disturbing the barrier, right? So the question is like how low to go whenever I'm scalping my lawn after applying pre-emergent. And the point is not down to the dirt. That's what I would tell you. All right. Richard Taylor is back. He says, I recently had back surgery, so I will not be able to rake up all the dead after scalping. Would it be okay to put my pre-emergent down, or do you have another suggestion? Southern Tennessee. Can you pay a neighborhood kid to pick up all the dead grass? That would be the real recommendation I would tell you, Richard. Yeah, because to really get the benefits, you want to get all that debris out. You really do. Like I wouldn't want you to go and like scalp and run over the lawn a bunch of times and just have like basically a layer of dead clippings and material all over the lawn and not get that out. If you can't do it, can you put your pre-emergent out? Yes, you can put your pre-emergent out. You can still water it in. It's still going to work. It would be better though if you got the material out of the lawn before putting out your pre-emergent. But if you can't, you can't. And putting out your pre-emergent, and as long as it's watered in properly, it's still going to be better than not doing it at all. So the best thing would be to get the debris out. If you cannot do that, then still apply your pre-emergent, water it in, and again, you're still going to get a lot of benefits from it. Next we have Edwin O. He says, happy Friday, Ron, and everyone. You mentioned spike aeration twice in a season. When do you do yours? So I mentioned core aeration. So my core aeration will be likely in Aprilish time frame. Whenever Alex decides he wants to do his lawn, we tend to go and go do it at the same time. And then it'll get aerated again whenever the lawn gets top dressed. Whenever it gets level this year, it will get aerated as part of that. So it'll be earlier in the season, and then again as part of the lawn leveling that's going to happen this year. Speaking of which, I need to call my guy and get that scheduled. So yeah, hopefully that helps, Edwin. Thomas B says, what's the weed that looks like Dallas grass but is growing right now? It could be a lot of different things. I mean, some people think Poa annua looks like Dallas grass. I don't think so, but I mean, some people will confuse Poa for, people will call Poa crabgrass. Poa gets called a lot of different things. I mean, it gets called your mother-in-law, it gets called Dallas grass, gets called crabgrass. But it's I'm guessing without seeing it, Thomas B, like the weed that I get a lot of questions about this time of year that gets called a bunch of other things other than what it actually is Poa annua. So especially if it's a grassy looking weed, then that's what I would lean you towards that without seeing it. So yeah. Tom Hoffenkamp is up next. He says, thinking about you this week, Ron, it was 93 yesterday. Oh, stop. Come on, man. Like, you with all your nice weather year round in California. Good grief, man. 93 degrees. What would I do to have 93 degree temperatures in like late February, early March? Says Bermuda is messing up the overseed now. No. See that's where you're wrong. You're saying the Bermuda is messing up the overseed. The Bermuda is doing Bermuda. Bermuda is the rightful owner of that lawn. The overseed is just there as a guest for the winter months. And it sounds like it's time for an eviction. That's what I'm hearing. He says growing like a weed. Also, man, the words just not good, not nice. He says, how can I kill off the Bermuda in my perennial ryegrass? You're joking. I'm not asking. Why would you want to kill off Bermuda in your ryegrass? Why would you want to? I don't understand why you want to do that. Because you're gonna go back to Bermuda. I'm not doing that. He says, joking. A Bermuda love is still strong, and he did send me a picture of his lawn, his ryegrass lawn, and let's see here. Where is it? Oh man, hang on, that's good. I gotta tell you, man, that's solid. Okay, so this is Tom's lawn. That is Bermuda overseeded with ryegrass. And that, I got to hand it to you, man. That looks pretty spectacular. That's looking solid. And you know, you just, Tom, can we just say, as far as stripe action gone too far? Like you're showing off now, man. I mean, you got double wides, you're doing like a plaid pattern. I mean, I appreciate the hustle, I appreciate the work, but this is doing too much. Now you're making me look bad. I'm not definitely doing that much work. I'm not doing that. That looks pretty sweet though. You got like a plaid pattern going on there. It's really nice. Very, very cool. The John Deere in the background showing posing with its handiwork, looking pretty awesome. Wow, that looks, you know, every time I see a ryegrass, a Bermuda lawn overseed with ryegrass, I was like, you know, one day, one of these years, I'm gonna do it. But then I realized that I'd have to mow it year round, and it quickly becomes like not a fun idea. Looks incredible though, man. Really nice. Keep going, and yeah, next month you can get rid of the ryegrass and move back to Bermuda, because that is what's really supposed to be there. All right. Okay, next up is It's Me 2017 says, what is the problem with aerating a lawn while it's dormant? No leveling, because I understand it needs to push through. So can you aerate a dormant lawn? Yes, but the problem is that you are increasing the likelihood you're going to have weed pressure, because you're opening up a bunch of voids in the lawn. There's really a lot of bare soil all throughout the lawn now, and then your grass isn't actively growing. So most people, not most people, in most cases, it makes sense to wait until the lawn is actively growing before you aerate it. Having said that, in years past, it's probably been 5 or 6 years at this point, I aerated my lawn at the beginning of March. And you know what happened? I didn't get a bunch of weeds, not too many weeds in my lawn really, but it looked really like garbage until like the 3rd, 4th week of March when the lawn woke up. You know what I mean? So there's not a whole lot of benefit, in my opinion, to doing it this early in the season. You are increasing the likelihood you're going to have weed issues. So if it were me, I would wait. Now, let's say an example of why you would do it now. Let's say you have, like, the only time you're going to get access to an aerator all season is now, then sure, do it now, because it's better to do it early than not do it at all. But outside of that, I would wait until the lawn is growing to be able to aerate your lawn. All right. He says, it's me, sent in samples. He says, I can't wait to get started. Awesome. Good job getting a soil test done. I like it. And then Mel says, great explanation as always, respect. And then Archie Amos says, good evening, young man. I gotta say how Archie would probably say it, right? What happened to Super Chat? So there's a problem with my AdSense account, and I'm still going back and forth with YouTube over it. Hopefully they'll fix it at some point. But in the meantime, if you want to support the channel, I mean, I'm not going to be able to see it till the show's over, but if you want to, I put out a poll last week, and folks said I should put up some way for you guys to donate to the channel. So if you want to, there is my Cash App link. So if you want to use that, you can. Don't feel like you're obligated to. But for those of you that want to, that's how you can do it until I can get this thing with whatever's going on with YouTube figured out. So sorry, Archie. I really like the Super Chat. I like my sound effects and everything, and I don't get to do it now, right? So such is life. Hopefully we'll get it worked out here soon. All right, Colin is up next. He says, I must say I'm itching to get the season started this year, ready to get the stripe flow going, and also do a couple more things to improve the lawns this year. I hear you, man. It'll be there soon, man. Just enjoy the downtime while you have it, because once it starts, it starts. Then you're not gonna be able to take a break. It's gonna be go time until the fall, right? So enjoy this little downtime while you still got it. Timothy Gonzalez says, good evening, Ron. It has been unusually warm here in New Mexico, and I'm starting to get a bit of green haze. Lucky you. Usually this doesn't happen until about April. Should I hold off on scalping? No, not necessarily, Timothy. I mean, if anything, if the lawn is beginning to green up and you scalp it, that's just going to accelerate how quickly the rest of the lawn greens up. Again, do not go down to the dirt. Like if you're going to maintain the lawn at, say, 3/4 of an inch, I would scalp 1/4 of an inch or so below that. That's going to get you a lot of the benefits of scalping, more heat, just the grass is going to green up faster without creating a bunch of work for yourself. It's going to be less wear and tear on your equipment. So that is how I would go about it if you're going to scalp this year. Again, you don't have to, but I think it's a good thing to do if you have the time and energy to do it, and it's going to help the lawn green up faster. So if the lawn's already greening up, you scalp it, it's going to green up even faster if you do that. So great question, man. Congrats. Look at you getting some of that Tom Hoffenkamp weather, huh? You guys over there on the West Coast getting that early green up going on. We get some green up going on here in Georgia too. I mean, it's not quite as aggressive as what it sounds like what you're describing, but we're not too far behind. It's gonna be there soon. Rashid Turner says, hey Ron, what kind of camera are you using for your live stream? So I have two cameras. This one that you're watching right now, this is a Sony. It's a Sony A1. And then this camera is an Arri. So this is like an actual cinema camera. It's a real camera, which produces a beautiful image. If you look at the image between this, which looks nice, but compared to this, which is gorgeous. The skin tones are just beautiful. Really good camera, really good lens. So I'm using an Arri, and then a Sony A1, which is also the camera that I use for taking like pictures for like thumbnails and stuff. So that's my rig. And whenever you guys see content on the channel, this camera gets moved outside, and that's what I use to this camera. And then I have another one that I use for like another angle for the content. So it produces a really nice image, but like there's no everything's manual. There's no autofocus, so it's kind of an event to use it. So, but I enjoy it. All right, next up is Colin. He says the game plan is already mapped out and ready to go. Nice, I like it. Next up is Ryan Contento. He says, happy Friday, got my soil test in. Gonna be placing my FERT and CarbonizPN-G order this weekend. Gonna be a great season. I like it, Ryan. Awesome stuff. Really good stuff. Then Jimmy Miller says, Ron, have you seen 4 Seasons 4 Dwarf Bent Grass that is all over Facebook? Do you know anything about it? I do not. I do not, Jimmy. Don't know. Hammer Time. Stop. Hammer Time says, best fertilizer for Houston, Bermuda. Depends on what your soil test results say, man. Sound like a broken record. Like you're gonna want to get one of these and get a soil test, and that's going to tell you what the absolute best fertilizer is for a Bermuda lawn in Houston. If you want to say, hey, listen, I'm not going to do a soil test. I'm going to be obstinate and difficult. I also feel like doing it, and I just want something that's going to work well. Then what I would tell you is these are a couple of options. What I would start the season out with is this guy is the 12024. And then when you get into April really through September, you could use Humic Max. But I would really encourage you to get a soil test, because if your soil is deficient in phosphorus, or perhaps your soil pH isn't where it needs to be, then the soil test will tell you that. And then we can make adjustments as far as which fertilizer you're using as the primary fertilizer throughout the season. So it's really worth taking the $30, $35, whatever these cost now, to get a soil test done, and $35 in a week of your time, week of waiting. That's all it takes. Then you'll have the correct answer, the best answer to the question as far as what you should be putting into your lawn throughout the season. All right. So that's what I would recommend for you. Hammer Time. I'm just giving you a hard time, man. I used to like MC Hammer. It's what funny. One of my high school friends, I used to love MC Hammer, and he used to give me a hard time about it. He's like, oh, so yeah, you gave me MC Hammer, huh? Too legit. I can still hear his voice, Francisco. That's what he used to tease me. I don't care. I like Hammer. As far as getting a soil test, you can get them here. Hammer Time. There. Let's see. Archie says, I just did Andre's sponsorship. All right, you know what, Archie, that's because you asked about it. We'll put you up there as a show sponsor. I don't know. I can't see what you donated, but again, you're also a regular supporter of the channel, and you said you just put something out, so why not? We will do that. We can do that. I got you on my other chat here. All right, so moving on to our next question. Guys, know we are almost 3 hours in here, and we only got 86 likes, 120 people in the live stream. Come on, we can do better than that. Y'all, you guys are starting to hurt my feelings a little bit, man. I don't ask for much. I don't ask for very much. All I ask for is like some kind of engagement. You can hit the like button. You can hit the dislike button. Either way, whichever one you want. I just want some engagement. So if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button ever so gently while I take a sip of my lemonade. Yes, I'm drinking lemonade tonight. And I look for the next question. I would really, really appreciate it. All right, next up is Gavin Moore. He says, hey, Ron, I got my soil tests back, and pH is low and nitrogen is low, which from your info, I know how to address, but copper and boron are always low. How can I address this? Thanks, Chester, Virginia. Okay, so you already know how to address the nitrogen fertilizer, how to address the pH, add lime. For your micronutrients, what I want to point you towards is a micronutrient fertilizer. So if you go to just the homepage of the Golf Course Lawn Store, you will see this guy right here, the Golf Course Lawn Micronutrient Blend that has all of your micronutrients, your boron, your copper, your zinc, your molybdenum. Did I say copper? Got iron in it. It's got a bit of everything. So as far as what I would say to go with, this would be my recommendation, sir. It sounds like you already have your game plan, Gavin, for boosting nitrogen and you're raising your soil pH, so you're good there. So as far as micronutrient, this is your jam. Micronutrient, there. And I'll just paste it here because the people on the other platforms can't see it, and now they can. Okay. Next, we have Trevor Schultz Golf. He says, hey, Ron, went super light on the certainty. The first go round, 1 small scoop in 2 gallons of water for 2,000 square feet. It didn't seem to take out the rye. Maybe dump 3 small scoops this time. Yeah, so one small scoop in 2 gallons of water over 2,000 square feet is that's not nearly enough, man. Not nearly enough. I mean, I'll tell you, if I'm controlling sedges, which certainty is pretty good against, actually really good against, I'll do like 3 scoops per 1,000. So if you're doing the same if you're spraying 2 gallons of water, so you're doing a gallon per 1,000 square feet. So that would be 6 small scoops in 2 gallons of water over 2,000 square feet. So yes, 1 small scoop in 2 gallons is not nearly enough. I mean, the ryegrass probably went like a little bit, but that's all it did. That's not enough. Not enough. You didn't smack it hard enough. So I would bring the rate up quite a bit more than that. You could try it. You could go with, if you want to, you go with the rate that, again, I find works fairly well for sedges, like 3 small scoops per 1,000 would be okay. So in your case, you do a total of 6 in 2 gallons of water over 2,000 square feet. That should make a pretty good dent in the POA annua, and be sure to use surfactant with it for best results. All right. Next up is, and this is the first time. So Jimmy, and this is the first and last time I'll oversee with rye. The juice was not worth the squeeze. I don't know, man. You know, here's the thing. Most people that do that, they say when it comes to getting rid of it, they say that. However, look at that. I mean, that's pretty, especially as far as like a domination factor. Like imagine like, you know, you're in a part of the country where lawns go dormant, like up here in Georgia, right? And your lawn looks like that, while everyone else's lawn is brown. That's like serious bragging points. So I kind of get it, but to your point, most people, it's funny, most folks I speak to say that. They say, you know, yeah, I did it. It looks great. I'm never doing it again. That's what they say. You know, they say it's just too much headache, too much work. I'm never doing this again. So you never know, man. You might forget. Next up is Tom Hovenkamp. He says, catalyst owners, how much border does the catalyst not cut? That's a good question. So as far as the zero edge of the mower, how much does it leave when you're going up to an edge? You know, can we look and see? Maybe you'll tell Tom. I can't see. Okay, so looking at it, I'm guessing that the right side of the mower is the zero edge. So if you look at the left side, you can see like that little cover on the right side, and I'm saying this right left as if you're behind the mower. So if you're behind the mower, the left side, which has the cover, which I think is probably where the belts or chains or whatever this thing happens to use to for propulsion is, like that side is not going to cut as close. The right side, I don't know, man. It's probably 3 or 4 inches, I would guess. 3 inches, maybe 4. Is what I would imagine looking at Lance's picture. Hard to say, but I mean, you can also ask the folks that either have one or reach out to the folks that make it and ask them. But just looking at it, it looks like 3 to 4 inches. So that's what I would guess. That's what I would guess. All right. Gavin Moore says, "Hey Ron, just finished Turf raking my entire yard, planning on putting up my pre-emergent in a day or two before it rains on Wednesday. Will that be okay since irrigation is still down for the winter? Be perfect. Perfect. So you don't have a way to water the pre-emergent in. You're going to put it out and then it's going to rain. That's exactly what you would want to do. That's perfect, Gavin. So yeah, I mean, running irrigation is great. Getting it watered in by rainfall, even better in my opinion. So yes, there's no problem at all with what you are planning to do. Great job getting your pre-emergent down, by the way. All right. Next week, he says, Ron, next week I should be getting both my reel mowers back from Reel Masters, customers number 1. Soil test should be in on Wednesday. Cool. I like it, Jimmy. Tom Hoffenkamp, I'm not sure what he says. He just says, I'm. It's probably not for me. Maybe it's something else. All right, so next up we have, next up is Andre Taylor. He says, still too early, however, looking ahead. Will I still need to release 0 if I'll be spoon feeding with Humic Max at 22.3 as well as a micronutrient blend? Strictly speaking, not necessarily, Andre. I'll tell you the combinations that I will do, right, is if I do the 22.3, which is what I'll be using in April going forward. Like I'm starting with 901C, but I'll be doing 22.3 going forward. I will do, I'm going to be doing 22.3, release 0, and NutriKelp as far as liquids go. You can also add the micronutrient, like what you're doing as well if you want to, but the 22.3 already has micronutrient in it. So it's really more is if you're looking to get a greater pop of color from like the 2% iron that's in the micronutrient, then you could add a little bit of that with the 22.3, but it's not strictly necessary. So my stack, if I'm using the 22.3, is 22.3 release 0, because I like that because the benefits of release 0 is that as far as maximizing or really helping that uptake, it really does a lot for that in that regard. So because I'm not only going to be spraying fertilizer, not only spraying 22.3 and the kelp product, I'm also going to be spraying Primo starting in mid to late April, right? So a part of why I also get great results, I think, with Primo at lower rates or at half rates every 2 weeks is the fact that I also use release 0 along with it. So is it strictly necessary? No. Is it something that I'm going to be doing and have done? Yes. So if you want the Ron Henry stack, like what he's doing, it's 22.3, release 0, and NutriKelp as far as liquids. And then when the time is right for Primo, that will go in the tank too. If you're looking for more of a base type program, what you're doing here, Humic Max, the 22.3, and I guess you want to look more iron for more pop of color, like that will also work really well too. Because keep in mind too, part of what I went for with the 22.3 and the Andersons was able to do for us is adding that fulvic acid. So while release 0 it does a better job, in my opinion, as far as maximizing uptake, as far as foliar uptake, the fulvic acid that's in the 22.3 was added for that very reason. So for someone that didn't want to do everything that I'm doing, but still wants, a premium foliar spray fertilizer, the 22.3 and the micronutrient are great. It's a great option, and it's a simpler program. It costs a little bit less to do it that way. So yeah, that would be a good option if you wanted to as well. I mean, what you could do is if you omitted release 0, I still think there's benefits to adding the kelp product. And if you're using fungicides on your lawn, which I do, then BioSpectrum also has value. So if you want to omit release 0, I guess you could if you wanted to. I mean, I'm not, but I guess you could. But then still adding kelp and BioSpectrum, there's still a lot of value in doing that. So just something to consider. In other words, given the choice, right? Given the choice between Humic Max 22.3 and the micronutrient blend, I would do Humic Max 22.3 and the rest of the carbon kit over doing the micronutrient, because the kelp and BioSpectrum have so many benefits to the soil, and then just the stress, the ability of the grass to manage stress more so than like the additional pop of color you're going to get from like the micronutrient. You know what I mean? Like given the choice, I think like that's a better trade-off given between the two of them. Now, obviously, if you can, if your budget allows you, do both. But if you can only do one or the other, NutriKelp and BioSpectrum, I would have that in your program. Okay. All right. Next we have Okay, so Jimmy's talking about his soil test results coming back. Next up, he says, what would you recommend now, dethatch or verticut Bermuda lawn? Thanks, Dallas Fort Worth area. Given the choice between the two, verticut, because I really don't like dethatching on Bermuda lawns. I really don't like it on really any lawns because I don't believe that most lawns need it. Dethatching is very aggressive, and most lawns just don't need that aggressive of a cultivation to start the season. So, in my opinion, a gentle verticut. So set up your verticutter to where it's a few millimeters above the surface. The soil surface is going to do a great job thinning out the existing canopy and is not going to not like tear the absolute life out of your Bermuda lawn. Like dethatching is just really aggressive. And so given the choice between the two, verticutting is where I would try and lead you towards concerned patient. Lead you towards that today, tomorrow, and twice on Sunday before I tell you to dethatch. And honestly, given the choice between the two, if you have to invest in a piece of equipment, like a verticutter is a much better investment if you have a Bermuda lawn than a dethatcher, because when you get into the hotter times of year, like late May, June timeframe into the summer, like Bermuda benefits from being verticut as it gets thicker. Whereas Bermuda does not need to be dethatched in the middle of summer. Like you're just going to ruin your lawn for the most part. So I really wouldn't do that. So hope that helps, sir. Hopefully I'm leaning you towards the ways of the verticutter. And if not, at least I tried. All right. Let's see here. Speaking of aeration, he says, do you leave the plugs on the lawn even if you are not leveling? Will doing so damage the blades in the reel? Yeah, so I leave the plugs, Jimmy, and they tend to break down pretty quickly. I mean, my soil, while it does have some clay, it's not, if you watch my video on aeration, like I pick up a plug and literally in front of your hands, I'm holding it right off the lawn and I just do this and it crumbles. So just the front roller running over them will break them up. So yeah, I leave the plugs on my lawn. I don't throw them out, because you figure also too, like that's nutrient, that's it's soil it's good quality soil that's also in that. So you can also look at it like a very light top dressing that you're doing by leaving the plugs. So I don't remove them. Now I know some people that have like clay soil that when it dries out, it turns into little bricks. In that case, sure, you can pull the plugs out if you want to. But in my case, I don't do it. Alex doesn't do it. When we do the other lawns around here in the neighborhood, we don't pick up plugs. So it varies based on your lawn. Okay. Next up, guys, we are winding down. Let's see here. Next up, we got Mars Beat. He says, actually, do I dethatch? Oh, I hate the word dethatch. Actually, do I dethatch or scarify and aerate? You will scarify and then aerate. That's what I'm gonna tell you to do, Mars Beads. Do not dethatch your lawn. You know what? Let's go back. We haven't done this in a while. Story time. So you guys are saying, what's his problem? Why doesn't he like dethatchers? What's the problem with dethatchers? Dethatchers are awesome. Everybody loves dethatcher. Everyone loves a good dethatcher, right? Okay, so here is why I don't, why I'm talking about as far as aggressiveness, the difference between the two. All right. So if you look at a verticutter, let's start with the most gentle. Let's look at the turf rake. All right. The scarifier. If you look at that, like these nice, gentle spring loaded fingers, if this machine is set up properly, a few millimeters above the soil surface, it's going to gently clean trash out of the lawn. Old clippings, just any debris, gently clean it out. Stepping it up a notch, we could go to the verticutter, right? If also set up properly, a few millimeters above the surface, this is going to cut your stolons. It's going to help gently, or more aggressively than the turf rake, but it's still relatively gently going to clean debris out of the lawn. It's going to encourage new growth, which has a lot of benefits to it. And then finally, the thing that I don't recommend that you really put on your lawn, I think we have to go to the homeowner mowers to see one of those, is the dethatcher. Now look at this. You see that? He's got like long metal blades that are hooked, and this is really more designed for tearing than it is for slicing and cutting. So I don't really recommend this for like most lawns. The situation where I could see someone using a dethatcher is if you have a lawn that has been neglected, like you move into a house and it has been, no one's like worked on the lawn for 5 years, just been sitting and just left to its own devices for years and years and years. You got a big a spongy layer of thatch that you're trying to get out. Then yeah, initially for a lawn like that, running a dethatcher, being really aggressive, like that could be okay. But then really that's a one-time thing. And then you could rely on verticutting and turf raking as your cultural practice to help manage growth in the lawn and help thin it out gently without causing a bunch of unnecessary stress. So even on your lawn, Mars Bead, which I know is a fescue lawn, I would go with scarification and aerating. That's what I would do. All right. Good question. Ryan N says, I mentioned last week I wanted to convert my Bahia to Bermuda in the back. Sounds like a good plan. If I got common Bermuda thriving in it / taking over, is that a good sign that evening shade from the house is a non-factor? Yes, if the Bermuda is growing well, and yeah, if it's doing well, even with a little bit of with the shade you're getting in the evening, if that's happening, then yes, then that's a good sign that that you're getting enough sunlight that the Bermuda should be okay in that part of the lawn, especially this time of year, Ryan, because the days we're not getting as much sunlight. The daytime as far as light isn't nearly as long as what it's going to be here in a few months. So if in February you're still getting enough light, which I guess you're in Florida, you're getting enough light that Bermuda is doing well, you're probably okay. In which case, you could use, if you want to get rid of the Bahia, you could use Celsius. Like this will do a number on Bahia grass, and Bermuda tolerates it just fine. Okay, it's a great question. I like it. You did some testing, so the Bermuda seems like I've got shade, but not too much shade, and my Bermuda seems to be doing okay. So now am I good to go to get rid of the Bahia? And if what you're seeing is what's really happening, then yeah, I'd say so. Rashid Turner says, Ron, I'm going to start a live. Thanks for detailing your camera selection. I would love to know what other equipment you use. A bunch of here's the thing. I say to start a live stream, you do not need the stuff that I use. If you want to get a decent camera for video that's not like stupid money, go buy like a Sony a7S III. I mean, it's still expensive camera, but like as far as like for video, it's one of the better cameras given what you spend, in my opinion. So if you're gonna shoot stuff outside, it's really good. In a studio, like the low light performance of a camera doesn't really matter as much because like in here, I control all the lighting, right? So I can literally make the lighting look the way I want. So it's not, the camera doesn't have to work really that hard because you're able to set up the lighting to where everything is exposed nicely. It's really when you're shooting footage outside is where a nicer camera, and really by nicer, I mean a camera that has more dynamic range, meaning its ability to see into the lights, the brightest parts of or to resolve the brightest parts of the picture and the darkest parts of the picture really make a lot of sense. But indoor in a studio, if you're just going to live stream, you don't really need to spend that much money on a camera. Like buy a decent camera and buy a really good lens. Like lenses are more important to the picture quality than camera. But if you want to drop some coin on something nice that you're gonna be able to keep and not really get rid of, get a Sony a7S III. It's a good camera. That's the camera that I run on my gimbal is an a7S III. Okay, next up is Michael Raymond. He says, Ron, I ordered my 12-024 the other day to kick off this 2025 season. Within hours, a truck dropped it off. Unbelievably fast delivery. You rock. Thank you. Cool. I like to hear that. I mean, we do ship pretty quickly. Within hours. That's, I guess, the Corps is getting it done. They're getting it right this year. I like it. He says, Lance S says, Ron have, I'm not sure what you're saying there, Lance. But I know you often do super chats as well. So, we'll do you too, as well, Lance. I'm about to figure out some other way, man. Because yeah, not getting super chats, it's hard to know who's doing what. But I mean, I know you guys are often show sponsors, so you can have your name in lights because I know it means something to you. I appreciate you guys being here. Mars B says, okay, I wasn't for sure. Thanks for the info. You are very welcome. And then next up we have Gold Troop says, starting my road to a great lawn in 2025. I like it. Already plan on killing the weeds and soil testing, but what should I do after? I want a Bermuda lawn, and I'm new to this in Central Florida. So you're getting rid of the weeds. You're getting a soil test done. That's great. You said you want a Bermuda lawn. So what I would say is this, Gold Troop. If your existing lawn is Bermuda, once you get rid of the weeds, the Bermuda, as it gets hotter, given that you're in Florida, it should really begin aggressively spreading and filling in. If what you're talking about is a renovation, meaning you maybe have a St. Augustine lawn or a Bahia lawn, what I would tell you to do is your soil test. You've already sound like you're getting that done, which is good. And then I would go for a renovation if you're trying to change from one grass type to Bermuda. So you would kill off the existing vegetation, kill off the existing lawn, grass and weeds, get it out. And then if you want the easy button, you would sod Bermuda. So a great choice for Bermuda is Tahoma 31. Tiff Tuff is also a nice Bermuda grass. You can always get Tiffway 419. I mean, a lot of people hate on Tiffway 419, but I think it's a nice grass too. But if you want one of the new fancy kids on the block, Tahoma 31, or Tiff Tuff's not new, but it's a more of a premium Bermuda grass than say 419. So, but that's the thing I would say. If you have an existing lawn, I would not try and introduce Bermuda to a lawn that's already there. I would just start over from scratch. You're going to get a better result if you do that. So your options are this: if you already got some grass, you could control the weeds and then give your existing lawn time to grow and fill in, depending on how much grass you have. That's probably going to be the easiest and least expensive way to do it. If you decide, hey, listen, I'm starting from scratch, I don't care, I want this all gone, I want a Bermuda lawn, and you have something else, then you're on renovation mode, in which case you're going to be getting rid of like the weeds and the grass in your lawn. And in my opinion, the easier way of establishing a new lawn is just to use sod. So do that, and it's going to put you in a good spot to go from like no lawn to lawn. That's how I would go about doing a gold troop. So hopefully that helps, sir. And congrats, and keep us posted as far as how it does and how's the project goes, man. Sounds like a lot of fun. Soju for all says, I had to step away. I asked a question about fertilizer, but I did not see it answered. Did I miss it? I'm not sure what your question was. He says, my soil test showed NPK. So it's low. Okay, I applied a granular 12 today. I plan on applying a spray fertilizer again in 5 weeks. Do I apply the 12 again, or is there a better suggestion? Yes, if you have that and you want to run that this season, you can, Soju, because the rate, I'm not sure which 12 you have, but if it's the one, so what I'm thinking about, like the application rate, it's going to be like 3 pounds per thousand, which is not a ton of N. So if you're doing that, you could run that all year, and then you could supplement it with a spray. Like for a couple of years, that's what Alex did. Alex ran a 12 fertilizer on his lawn every month, and then and then supplemented as well. So yeah, that can absolutely work. If you don't want to use the 12, if you want a different fertilizer, something you could use in place of that would be our 14-7-14. So if you go to the golf course lawn store, you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer, like this is a good complete fertilizer. You've got nitrogen, your phosphorus, potassium in it. This also has some kelp and humic acid, which I like. So it's it is. It's like a biostimulant and also meeting the macronutrient demands of your lawn at the same time. You got some micros in there as well, as far as some iron, and I think there's some zinc in this as well. Actually, let me tell you. Make sure to tell you exactly right, because I should have the analysis here. Yeah, so you've got some iron, manganese, and magnesium, so not zinc. So you got these 3 micronutrients in the product as well, along with your humic acid and kelp. So if you want to step it up, this would be a great option, in my opinion, for a balanced, for complete fertilizer for feeding your lawn. So I'll get this over to you in case you are so interested, sir. You'll have choices, right? Choices are good things. You can take a look and you can decide for yourself. Let's see here. Duke's Family Lights is up next. He says, hey, Ron, I'm closing on a house on March 24th in Tequila with Bermuda lawn. My first step is to pull a soil sample. I like it. Any other recommendations on where to get started at that point in the season? Yeah, so get your soil test done, which is good. And then just start feeding the lawn based on the soil test data. Something you're going to be able to do, regardless of what your soil test comes back with, is using a granular biostimulant like CarbonizPN-G. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer, like this is something you can use regardless of what your soil test results say. This is going to help improve the amount of organic material in your soil. It helps with nutrient uptake, helps your fertilizer and the water you put on your lawn to work and work better. So just great great product. It's a staple of my program. I apply it on my lawn every single month. But once we have your soil test results, that'll drive the fertilizer. What else can you do? Late March, you should probably also plan for insecticide. So late March, early April is when I do my first insecticide app of the year. What I use is a Acelepryn. So this, if you like liquids, we also have it in granular form, but this is good to do in late March, early April to interrupt that grub life cycle so you can prevent insect damage. Outside of that, man, it's just going to be feeding it and mowing it. And then it depends on how far you want to go. You want to top dress, you want to, like the sky's the limit. It just depends on what is good enough to you. You know what I mean? But those, as far as like things that I would do, soil tests, you're doing that. As far as insect control, Acelepryn, you're doing that. And then I would fertilize and use a granular biostimulant like a CarbonizPN-G as part of your program. And then you can just kind of decide as you go on, how far you want to take things. All right, Gold Troop says, thanks for your advice. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And then our last question says, by the way, yes, there's some other grass. Now definitely some St. Augustine, but not sure about the other type. Might go wiping out everything since it's mostly weeds now. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go to Bermuda grass, I would not grow Bermuda and St. Augustine in the same lawn. I mean, can you get rid of St. Augustine if you have Bermuda? Yes. You can use quinclorac. You can use this to do that. But if you're starting from scratch, why not just start from scratch? Like you got a lawn that's kind of like a salad bowl. There's no reason there's no reason to not just burn it all down and start over from scratch. That way you can kill off the the existing grass, get rid of the weeds. You can rake it all out. You can put down like a nice good application of maybe a light topsoil application, maybe some CarbonizPN-G, get everything prepped as nicely as you can. Have someone come in and install some sod for you. And then you go from like no lawn to a beautiful Bermuda grass lawn, just like that. That is how I would do it if I were you. All right. Let me see here. And then next up is Arpheus 47. Is that fatal for dogs or any concerns on that end? I'm not sure what you're asking about, but no. I mean, as far as like fertilizer or our biostimulants, no. And the general rule when it comes to products you apply on your lawn is that if you're spraying liquids or granular products, you want to, if you're going to water them in, if there's products that need to be watered in, you want to water them in and then allow the lawn to dry. If you are spraying foliar products like growth regulator, like foliar, like biostimulants, like liquid fertilizers, again, same thing, you'd spray them on the lawn and you allow them to dry. If you're trying to be super conservative, what you would do is you would apply whatever you're going to say apply tomorrow and just keep people and pets off the lawn until the following day. If you go look at like the signs that all the lawn care services stick in yards after they go out and they spray their stuff or put out fertilizer, that's what it pretty much says. It says keep people and pets off the lawn until the following day. So it says like run your irrigation if you need to water it. And it says keep people and pets off the lawn till tomorrow. So as long as you do that, you're going to be fine. Like the products that are designed or labeled for use on residential lawns, again, if you follow that guidance, you're going to be okay. All right. Okay. Next up, last comment of the evening is Warrior One. He says, "What striping kit do you recommend for a rotary mower?" Toro makes one. There's also folks that make them themselves. Like if you look on YouTube, there is a video. A guy out of Chicago did it, I think. It's like showing how to make a $15 striping kit. So you can buy one or you can just make one. From what I understand, they're not that difficult to do. If you just look up striping kit or striping rotary mower on YouTube, his video is going to come up. It's got like over 1 million views. When last time I looked at it, it's a really popular video. So that is what you would look at. Again, Toro makes one. I know there's other companies that make them, but that's going to be more expensive than just making your own. And I don't know that the Toro ones are universal. I think they pretty much apply to their mowers. I don't think you can put them on any mower. So you may end up just having to make one anyway. Okay. Hope that helps Warrior One. And then Neil says, new to your page, how do these products compare to Yard Mastery? Different approach. I think it's a different approach to lawn care, different products. I mean, the fertilizers that we use, like if you look at the prill of the majority of our fertilizers, like the largest prill fertilizer, which is Humic Max, like that is the size of it, whereas the prill of most fertilizers, to include the yard mastery fertilizers, that's actually what this is, you can see the difference. So as far as for lawns that are going to be real mowed, so especially shortcut turf, where your goal is to get the fertilizer past the canopy into the soil, like this is going to work better. And if you're using our greens grades fertilizers, which is like the 12024 or the 14714, so this is a 150 SGN, this is an 80 SGN. So you can really see the difference, and kind of for reference, because it's kind of hard to tell exactly what you're looking at. So this is your standard, like this is like a 200, 210, right? This is what you will find most fertilizers that you'll find in like big box stores and other places online. So that's the tip of a pen. That's the size of the prill, right? So you'll apply this, and for the most part, you're still going to see this on your lawn when you're done. Humic Max, the 1608 we carry, again, the same thing, size of a pen. You can see this the difference in the prill size, much, much finer. So again, you'll apply it and you literally won't even be able to tell you put fertilizer out. It just disappears. And then finally, the greens grade fertilizer, again, this almost looks like powder. You can't even really make out the prill because it's so fine. So that's the difference. All of our fertilizers also have humic acid in them. The greens grade fertilizers also have kelp. So as far as like a product goes, it's just more of a premium product, which is why they cost a bit more. And they can be used on all types of grass. So if you got like a 4-inch tall fescue lawn, our fertilizers will work well. And if you got a real mowed lawn at 1/2 inch, they're also going to work really great for that too. So, but there's people that get great results with both lawns, both programs. Just really depends on which you like better and what you want to go with. So again, most like Yard Mastery produces, there's a lot of people that use those products and get great lawns. Lots of people that use our products and get great lawns too. So just really look at, I guess, the difference between the two, what you're trying to accomplish, and then decide for yourself. So I would tell you. Next up is Warrior One, our final comment of the evening. You're very welcome, Arias Afrias. It says, what height should I cut St. Augustine lawn that I overseeded with rye? That's a good question. I've never actually seen that. I've never actually seen someone overseed St. Augustine with ryegrass. I would still keep it 3 inches or taller is what I would tell you. Warrior One. That's the first. If you've done that, send us a picture. So not for this week, but email me a picture of it. ron@golfcourselawn.com. You can see it. My email address right here. Send me a picture. I want to see that. I've never seen St. Augustine overseed with ryegrass. So if you've actually done that, show us, show the folks. All right. Well, guys, gals, thank you so much for taking the time to come hang out this Friday. I really do appreciate it. Again, we have got Pre-emergent in stock, as well as a great assortment of fertilizers to help you create a lawn that your neighbors are absolutely going to envy. So if you like our products and want to give them a shot, give them a go. I do not think you'll be disappointed. Again, thank you so much. We will see you guys next week on the live stream on our normal time at Friday. I might do a live stream this weekend while I'm working on the lawn. We'll see. See if I can make some time to do that. But if not, talk to you guys next week. Have an amazing weekend. Take care.